What's up? How you doing, everybody?
Hi, everyone.
Good to see you guys. Happy Sunday evening to all of you. Thank you for dropping in. And to the rest of you who will be dropping in over the next coming 10, 15 minutes or what have you. Hello, of course, as always, to all of you who watch this on Rewind. And I thank you guys as well. And gals. For always checking out the show after the fact. We appreciate you guys as well. And a ton of comments from you guys coming in. So let me quickly first just want to say a quick shout out to my newest subs this past week, Dave Kwok, who will be a guest of mine for a show and tell episode very, very soon. So, hey, Dave, if you're out there. And Marvin Wynn, who just subscribed, and a few of you whose names were anonymous to me because of your privacy settings. So thanks, guys. I appreciate that. And just FYI, you guys know, this is the point in the show where I usually do my promos for all of my friends. But because I'm traveling, as you guys can see, I'm with the man himself right here. And I'm not at home, obviously. And so, you know, we've been focusing on having fun and not spending time on me checking YouTube out. So unfortunately, for those of you who I do promos for, if you've put any videos out this week, Carl, I'm sure you probably did. Maybe Yuli, I don't know. But yeah, I haven't seen it because I haven't been on YouTube for the last several days. So no promos for this week, but next week for sure. All right. So thank you guys as always. Appreciate you. And let me jump in. This is a good time that'll save us some time to be able to jump in and see who is interested here tonight. Out of you regulars who I expected to maybe bow out this evening because you knew we were not going to be showing mainstream superhero art. So we'll find out right now. And I'm actually already surprised that, hey, Tom, #1 Marvel fan, you yourself, wow, no Marvel, no DC, strip art, and you're still here. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. So that's all I can say about that. Marcus, we can, well, we're not going to hurry the show up, although you're on the West Coast. What are you talking about? I think it starts at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock anyways, right? Even when you're on the West Coast, I believe it starts. They air it at 8 o'clock local time. No worries. You'll be on time to watch that. If you remember the first episode that Jeff and I did of Comic Art Hangout, back when it was known as Comic Art One-on-One, that's what it was known back then before I rebranded it. You guys may remember, we did that show, covered tons of topics, a really great episode, actually. And we still finished it in like 2 hours, 20 minutes, I say, something in that range. Yeah, Jeff is not the kind of guy who wants to be here for 3 or 4 hours, so don't worry, guys. We'll
but Rubén can talk.
You know that I can talk. We all know that. They all know that. You don't have to mention that yet. But yeah, so there you go. So yeah, we'll see how we do tonight. But I have a feeling it's going to go quicker than usual, at least somewhat. So Jason Ladwig, good evening to you. Thank you for dropping in because, dude, it's been a while, and I know you've been traveling. So yeah, thanks, man. Good to see you again. The Rickster, good evening to you as well. CJ Design, what's up? Good evening, good evening. And saying, look at that, saying hello to Vivian. And look at that, look who's here. My favorite viewer, Vivian Chu.
Hi, Vivian.
What's up, Vivian? So funny. There you go. Let me make it official. There you go. Hi, Jeff. with the smiley face. Look at that. And always thank you for the support, honey. That's appreciated. Thank you. Jeff Wedding, what's up? So you can feel free to let me know who are the guys here that you know that because now you've met a few because of having
I've met
OAX and San Diego absolutely, and stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know Jeff? Did you meet Jeff?
Yes, I met Jeff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, met
cool.
CJ as well.
Cool. Oh, you met CJ?
Yeah.
Where'd you meet CJ?
I think it was OAX.
CJ, you didn't go to OAX, did you?
Maybe
I don't think CJ travels.
We've just done a lot of deals online. I think that's what it was.
Really?
Yeah. I think so.
I think your mom is. I think he's not. I don't. CJ, you're not actively collecting, are you?
I'm mistaken. I'm thinking Carol Day. No. Am I thinking?
No. Are you thinking of Sunny?
No. Okay.
Sunny might be here, but anyways.
Yeah. Apologies. Yeah.
Let's see. Howdy, howdy. Hi, CJ. Okay. Hi, Vivian. The hellos to everybody. Yeah, look at that, Mikhail. There's a man you know.
Yes.
There's a man.
Anaranga.
Oh, did Aranga come in?
Right underneath.
There we go. Look at that. Look at this action. Hey, what's up, man? E, the man E in the house. Jeff's pad. It is, Rickster. It is. It is. Twinning for sure. Nice view. Yeah, exactly. I figured you guys always love to look at the background of whoever the guests are. So I was like, yeah, we got it cooking pretty good here. Like a really wide view. Oh, look at that. What's up? Kavi in the house. Teach me how to strip. We will not be doing any of that unless Jeff wants to, of course. John Brown, always here. Appreciate you, my friend. And very active last week, by the way, John. Was surprised. He put in a lot of comments. That was pretty sweet to see. Oh my God! What? This is my friend Lowell. Those of you who were CJ know for sure. You remember because it's one of your favorite shows that I did. Lowell, my friend, who did the episode on the pulp. Not pulp. Paperback, the vintage paperback. The Art of Raymond Johnson. And by the way, Lowell, good to see you, obviously. First of all, I just yesterday, because I'm traveling here in Toronto, in the greater Toronto area, just yesterday, finally managed to hit a shop of the beguiling. We've talked about the beguiling here on my show earlier, on earlier episodes. So I made my first appearance at the beguiling, so that was fun. And I managed to get a copy of the Illustration magazine issue in which you featured your big article that you did on the Art of Raymond Johnson, which precipitated us doing that Art of Raymond Johnson show on my channel. So very cool to see you again, man. Looking good. I appreciate it. Looking good. Anonymous? I don't know who the anonymous is. Hi, Kavi. The Shining represent. Vivian. TJ, what's up? The Traveler. Yes, sir, for a few days. DC is not mainstream. To all the Marvel zombies. That's true. John Cogan, what's up? Is that Bill?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Shauna Pinup from Marvel Fanfare. Yeah. One of your earliest pieces.
Yeah, it's actually my grail.
The Holy Grail. Can you say holy? Because we have this argument.
I only have one grail and that's it.
Yeah. You understand? You hear that, guys? He has only one grail. So it's the Holy Grail.
Yeah, and I got it early in my collecting too.
And you got it early, yeah, like well over 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so very, very cool. Good to see you, John, by the way. Who else is here? Mike, NSN Art. I thought the finally. You can't spell, man. Finale was last week, I think is what you're talking about. What up, Rob Gabler? Look who's here.
Hey, Rob.
What's up, Rob? People still collect strip art?
I think, yes. Rob still collects strip art.
Yeah. Look at he, the man is here, the man of the hour, the man of the minute. Comic Art Boston, what's up? Just stopping by to register my like. Thank you as always. Unfortunately, it's always unfortunate. We love having you. Traveling cannot stay. It's good to have you on board once again, Jeff. There we go.
Need to come to Toronto. Yes.
Look at that. He's inviting you. There you go, Cab. He's inviting you. By the way, we call him Cab. I don't know if you know because of Comic Art Boston, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's when you'll sometimes you'll see people say, "Hey, Cab," or like Vivian, right? Right there. Yeah.
As opposed to A Cab. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, he's private, so we don't want to say his real name.
Oh no, I meant like all cops are bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Oh no, that's not.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay.
No.
Well, I actually never heard that.
No.
That's interesting. No,
it's,
I'm not familiar with that.
It's a thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. Wow. Okay, let's not go there, everybody. Don't underestimate interest in stripping. You're still with that? Let us see you dance. That's how you should relaunch your channel, Kavi. You should do a stripping show. Jeff is a wonderful person with wonderful artwork. Certainly is. I saw last week, and that didn't look like a finale.
They're talking about House of Dragons.
The House of Dragons, yeah, exactly, yeah. Hi, Cab, travel safely, yes. And yes, Rubén, you are a wonderful person, too. You said that because you know I'm going to call you out for only having said that and made the statement towards Jeff. That's why. You know I would call you out as a joke, of course. But I appreciate it. Thank you. And Maki Poo Poo, what's up, Michael? Good to see you. And Lowell says, strip art is more interesting to us paperback guys than modern comics. Wow, interesting. Is that why you're here, though, Lowell? Wow. Many thanks, Vivian. Okay, do they care? And Vivian, hi, Maki Poop. Everybody saying hello to each other. Why, Wright Ryan Condal and tell him, Mark. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about there. You talk to each other. Good evening, Vivian. Strip art is great as well. You have some, not much. No, exactly. So CJ, so you got the wrong guy.
Okay,
I'm curious now to know who you're confusing him with.
Yeah.
Now I'm really confused.
I'll think about that.
I'm curious.
No,
Already met him. You met Marcus?
no, I saw him next. A couple more down the Mike Davis this year too. So it's,
Oh, but Marcus, did you meet?
I didn't.
Oh, at San Diego,
So
because he only does San Diego. So you must have met him there.
I'm trying to think if I did actually meet him. I met so many people that time last.
Marcus,
last
let us know. Let us know if you met Jeff in San Diego. It's the only place he goes to.
I see Marcus so much online that I feel like I.
Yeah, that's it. That's the problem, right? He's in so many places. You feel like you must have already met him, right, in person. John C, what's up, fellow Canadian, right there. And CJ, maybe he's thinking of TJ. I don't think so. Maybe, probably somebody with like an initial like that. Mike Davis. Mike D in the house. The one of the original Beastie Boys here, everybody. He's an art collector. Mark, there's no empty space on the wall unlike Rubén's wall. Yeah, thanks. But not for long. Not for long. Not for long. It's September, man. I'm telling you. I'll show you. Strip art preceded modern comic art, and the classic strip artist influenced generations of subsequent comic book artists.
Absolutely.
Very, very true. Yeah, exactly. It's good to know the history of it. So the paperback show was a banger. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Would love to do more. Like I told you, Lowell and I were supposed to. We were working on another one. And then he ghosted me. He took off. He got busy selling vintage paperbacks. So, but I hope we get back to it eventually. Met Jeff in Kavi in New York City a few years ago. Yeah, hope you come back to the city too eventually, Rubén. Yeah, for sure, man, dude. We got to meet in person for sure. So yeah, whether it's there, and I saw you talking about on. I think it was it CAF on Marcus's CAF. I think you were talking about getting back to San Diego. So I was talking with Jeff recently about that. I said I might be willing to make another trip out there again. So we'll see.
Yeah,
you know,
we missed you at OAX.
Yeah. Who, me?
No, Cabby.
Okay, he was there. Oh no, he couldn't go. Right?
Because of the,
Right. Yeah. But he said he's going to go for in the next one. Yeah. Your pal Rob has bought a few nice McGinnis paperbacks lately. Who's Rob? My pal Rob? Which Rob? I know a lot of Robs. Which?
I don't think Rob Gabler bought it.
No, not Gabler. No. I don't know. Rob who, man? Rob. Hey, Caniff. Good to see you. Thank you for dropping in. Cab sounds better than Hey, Uber.
Hey, Kaz.
Consider it. Hola, Kazra. What's up? Hey, gents. Hoping Jeff has some surprises tonight. Hey, so you're going to hang out for the duration, that means. That's cool. That'll be cool to have you in for a while at least. Who else we got? Saying hello. Oh, a new one. Farmer Fox. I miss Sunday morning comics in paper. I don't buy newspapers. I don't remember the last time I read a newspaper. How about you?
I have.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm traveling, but not at all.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And of course, I've got a basement with 100,000 Sundays out.
Yeah, you might want to talk about that a little bit once we get into this. Yeah, that's a pretty cool story. Farmer Fox, out of curiosity, it's the first time we see you here. Can you just quickly chime in and let me know if either Jeff or I happen to know you? If we have ever communicated at all through this hobby, it would let us know. That'd be awesome. And thank you for dropping in. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Hey, Cab, and later, Cab. Okay, I was talking about what? I don't even know what that is, man. But I've seen Jeff at SDC. Oh, you've seen him, but you didn't meet. But what's Condal? I don't know what you're trying to say there. Condal? I was talking about Condal. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Jeff is more interested in House of the Dragon Lady. Yeah, look at that, Rickster. There you go. Gonna try to go to SDC next year. Yeah, exactly. So I may, if I start hearing that some of my more of my closer friends in the hobby might be there, maybe we'll do it. You know, I met a few of your previous show guests at SDCC. Oh yeah, I'm sure for sure. You know, I'm mostly here to support. My Sundays have been pretty busy lately, but wanted to drop in. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Whoa, Heart, what is up? How's it hanging? It's hanging low. I will go.
I think Arwen will too.
They want to tag along to San Diego. Vivian already tagged along with me, but of course I haven't been there in forever, almost 2 decades. But we'll talk about it, honey. But you understand, if we go, that means we have to drag Arwen along too. Who's gonna watch over her? I don't know. She might get kidnapped. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know.
That happens.
She'll be like 16. Actually, interesting to sort of segue. I was just reading this article a couple days ago online about how there's some kind of trafficking operation at San Diego Comic-Con. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, there was they broke some ring up, right?
Yeah.
Some stuff.
Yeah.
Trafficking.
Yeah. At San Diego Comic-Con. What? Wow, man. Yeah, it's nuts. Like, that's pretty scary, actually. The show is not about stripping. No, what am I supposed to do with all these heated loonies? Nice. Nice. Negative. Okay, first time. It looked like a cool topic of conversation. Okay, well, we're happy. Are you a strip art collector, an original strip art collector, or do you just like strip art in general? Let us know that. The showrunner for House. Oh, I wouldn't know these kinds of details, man. Yeah, you got to kind of let me in on that. Robert, go. It's because I don't know him as Rob Lowell. I only ever call him Robert. That's why. Okay. Thank you. That's Robert next door.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what he's talking about. Okay. Yeah, they know each other because they're always on the CGC boards, doing. Because Robert's always looking at vintage paperbacks as well and dipping his toes into that,
So he's buying the vintage paperbacks, not the actual original.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he sees nice covers, and Lowell's usually the one selling them.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when he sees cool, like sort of like hot vintage women type covers or whatever, and then he buys that kind of stuff, I guess make a family trip out of it. Make it happen. Who knows, man? It's definitely gonna think about it for sure. Everyone in America has a gun too. Yeah, only in America. Hello, bonjour, mon ami. Comment ça va, Lyle? What is up, man? And John Cogan says, Ryan Condal is the writer producer of, yes, on HBO. What's that, the stuff that dreams are made of? Oh, podcasts with Dave Mandel. Okay, that guy that I've seen with Dave Mandel. Thank you, appreciate it. Everyone I own owns a pew pew. I own 5 myself. You own 5 guns, really, Tom? Used to collect many moons ago. Wow, just a fan in general now. Okay.
Oh, welcome back.
Okay, yeah, welcome back. Wow. And let us know, one last question for you, Farmer Fox. Do you still have any of your original strips after all these years? Or did you ultimately get rid of them many moons ago as well? Yeah. One for each appendage. Nice. TJ says, I'm just here for the stripping. Well, there you go. Kabi is going to be coming in a little bit later and doing a striptease for you. Corey Rust, what's up, man? All right. So, everyone, of course, as you know, tonight's episode is focused indeed on comic strip art. I've been wanting to do a comic strip art focused show for.
We've talked about.
Yeah, Jeff and I, obviously, he was obviously always going to be my first choice. So we've been talking about doing something like this actually for quite a long time, probably since not long after I started the channel, and so of course him being my first choice, he finally managed to find. He's a busy guy, of course. Finally managed to find this weekend where we got together, and I figured, we'll it's a great time to do the show together since we are in the same room, and that's always fun to do. And so just so you guys know, before we start showing the art, I know that some of you, as we start getting into it, you guys will be wondering, hey, any Sundays or, you showing any of this or that. So just so you know, tonight, I'm not showing any Sundays, and that's simply because, not that he doesn't have amazing ones. Let me get out of the way for a moment. And I don't know how much you can see it, but here you saw these kick-ass Buck Rogers, an amazing Prince Valiant here that is really, really gigantic. So he's got plenty of Sundays, but the reason we're not going to see any tonight is because the YouTube screen format, right? It's not that tall, and it doesn't allow for, when you Sundays typically have even more panels than like comic book pages. And so you just can't appreciate any of the detail from when I make a slide. They're not big enough. So I figure he's got such amazing stuff anyways. And as you know, I always put everybody's links in the description down below. So to go see any of his Sundays or any other of his days, like we're not even, just so you know, we're not scratching the surface of the quality, depth, and breadth of Jeff's collection tonight. I could do a series like this, like an ongoing series, because we're only showing 20 pieces or so. Literally, we could do a series because he's got so much depth and breadth in the strip area. So yeah, this doesn't scratch the surface, but what I did was I went through his stuff. It still took me at least, I don't know, 3 hours like usual. And I was moving fast because I knew that if I was going to choose my favorite 20 pieces, I would have been in your gallery for 12 hours. Like it's because you have so much, right? So it's hard to like pin down, like, what are your favorites, like, right?
So it's good you put some criteria, but missing the Sundays, I understand why we did that, but you miss out on some, like things like Krazy Kat. They're best appreciated in a Sunday.
Absolutely.
Little Nemo was only in a Sunday.
Yes,
so there won't be any.
Yes.
Actually, Windsor McKay mostly did Sundays, and the things he did on a more regular basis were still Sunday kind of shaped, like the Rarebit Fiend. And like that. Correct.
And that's
see that kind of stuff.
Right. So you won't see that kind of stuff tonight. But again, you know, you guys know, like, so if you go to Jeff's gallery, he has that kind of stuff. And so that's why I'm saying you will not see it tonight. Like I said, we can only show about 20 pieces anyways. So it doesn't scratch the surface. You want to see more of that classic, you know, that big Sundays type stuff that he just mentioned. Definitely go to the gallery, use the link below, go to the gallery and check that out, because yeah, it's awesome and you don't want to miss that, you know. And being that, you know, there's not a lot of strip art collectors, relatively speaking, compared to superhero art collectors. This is the type of show, an episode that, you know, you can't expect to see on my channel like often, because I know you guys, you know, I know the general interest area and what it is. And yeah, so as easily as we could produce, you know, multiple episodes on Jeff's collection of strip art. Yeah, I know I might start losing the audience if I did that. So check out the Cap Gallery for sure.
And there is one sort of superhero piece.
Wow, you got more, yeah.
Right.
For your enjoyment tonight, those of you who appreciate more of the the superhero stuff, you got that Frank Miller kick-ass Electra piece right there, or at least 2/3 of it showing on your screen, you know. Yeah, so but yeah, so there you go, all dailies. And yeah, so I just chose, I didn't want to spend 10 extra hours just trying to narrow it down to my favorites. So I just kept choosing the ones that if I saw it and I really liked the strip and the artist, I picked it, you know. And so I kind of did it that way. So it is full of a lot of great strip artists. So you'll still be able to appreciate, you know, what we're going to show tonight. Okay, so just before we get in, let me catch up on these last final comments that you guys have typed. Sadly, so Farmer Fox says, sadly, they were lost a few house moves ago. Lost? Like literally lost? Oh boy. I mean, I hope you didn't literally lose your strip collection while you moved. Holy crap.
Yeah, sometimes you find that stuff. Like remember those really cool Watchmen pages came up from the beginning of the Watchmen series?
Are you being serious now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, some guy had moved like 30 years ago, had bought these pages. He figured they just got stolen, and then when he moved again, he found them and they showed up in Heritage like a year ago. But it was like,
oh yeah,
with the comedian getting killed.
Oh,
that came out of it was a page that was missing from the guy. He just thought he'd lost it.
Wow.
So,
oh my God.
Maybe there's hope.
Maybe there's hope. Look in every nook and cranny, Farmer Fox, like every nook, cranny, and cardboard box that you think you know what's inside. Maybe reopen it and check. You know,
or move again. Yeah.
Or move again. Yeah. Move again so it appears suddenly. You know. All right. So Jeff's collection is beyond amazing, says CJ. There you go. Nice. Yeah. Nice compliment. Agreed, Kavi. Great display backdrop for tonight. Yeah, I can't get lost I get lost in this cat for hours. Yeah, like, for sure. Files or portfolios. Shit, I wish I could turn the camera. Actually, you know what? Real quick. Yeah. Let me do this.
You not stretch it if you want to. You can turn it.
Yeah. You see?
Yeah. And beside the video game machine, there's the taller Ayatoyas down there.
Yeah. There you go. And they got flat files there in the corner. So yeah, there you go. Let me put this back up here. All right. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, like the never-ending portfolios, by the way, Marcus, like never-ending. And he's gotten rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still seemingly never-ending.
It's down to less than half of what I had before. So.
Good question by Marcus. Do you use a safe?
No.
No, I don't want to reveal the answer, or no, you don't use.
No,
a safe?
I don't. I don't use a safe. That is my plan at some point in the future. We're in our current home right now. It's only going to be for a couple more years, and then we're probably looking at retiring and getting something more permanent. In which case, there'll be a large sort of gun safe for that kind of stuff. Yeah. In Canada, it's very hard to get insurance for art. You know,
I've explained it to everybody many times.
So it's almost impossible. You have to get appraisals done for each piece. When you've got thousands of pieces or at least hundreds of pieces, it gets almost impossible to do that. And and in this hobby, you know, although theft is a way to lose stuff, it's not a. If anyone knows what they're going for, they know that they can't sell this stuff. So it doesn't have that value. So the biggest risk is fire and water.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Absolutely. So not so much the
theft
aspect.
The theft thing, nobody really gets worried about that, you know. Exactly. But yeah, fire and water. Yeah, fire first, I would think, right? Mm-hmm. More so than water. But yeah. John, by the way, just so you know, so John C., the Canadian, the fellow Canuck, all he does is joke around. Yeah. So anytime you see him say something, if you don't understand it, he's just joking around. He's making jokes. I can guarantee he has no Transformer strip art, but let him know what you. Marcus will appreciate that. A few of these guys will appreciate it. Tell him what you do have in terms of Transformers that you guys probably would never think you would have. He has Transformers art. Yeah,
I've got a Daniel Warren Johnson page, Transformers 3, one from one of Felix's drop. And I have something that's kind of like Transformers. Jeffrey Brown did a spoof on Transformers, a little bot series. There's a really small pages, like about this size, but
oh yeah,
a lot of fun.
Very cool. Stanley's asking, any house tours?
If you come to Toronto, absolutely.
And he's serious, by the way, Stanley. I've seen him invite plenty of people, and plenty of people have come. So yeah, make your way into Canada, man. Carlos, what's up, man? Are you two together? We are. No, this is AI.
That's right.
I created an AI Jeff to make it look like he finally joined me. It's so tough. Look at this. Look at this.
Right,
no video.
Yeah, Rubén comes every summer to visit, and then also I have a big art gathering every September, and Rubén also comes for that, and then
I'm here twice a year usually. Yeah, exactly. And these guys know I've told everybody here that I come for your art gathering. I've explained what happens and how it goes, you know. So yeah, it's cool. Hey Jeff, do you have any of the Marshall Rogers Batman dailies or Sundays?
No.
Okay. Did you ever have any of that?
Not Marshall Rogers. Okay. I haven't had a lot of Batman or Superman or those kinds of mainstream things.
Okay.
Not that I don't want them, but that's
not your main focus, right?
It's not my main focus. And
I get it. Farmer Fox tells us, I hope that is the case. Pretty sure they are gone though. we were just trying to give you hope, you know. Yeah. Damn, that's nice. Oh yeah, what I showed you. Yeah. And Rick, Jeff has so many artists in his calf gallery. The list ends at Sid Shores. Yeah. Oh, is he one of those?
Yeah.
Because there's only a certain limit, and then it craps out.
I think like a lot of what is it, 800 or 1,000?
Oh, is that what it is?
Something like that.
That's why. I was talking with a few guys, and we were like, "Hey, what happened there? How come it just cut off?" Mm-hmm. I didn't realize there's a limit.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a pretty big limit, but there's a limit though. Yeah.
But still, wow. Okay. Nice room. I'm always interested in the bookshelf. Well, there you go. What's up? Jason came in the house. Hello. Lovely to have you in here, Jason. Sinkevich tilted the calf machine over there. Jason, Sapkavi, Thomas. Hey, Devin Larotte won yesterday in Orlando. Rubén thought you should know. Who's Devin Larotte and what did he win? In Orlando? Why would you think I know what I know what you're talking about, Tom? And I'm being serious. I don't know who's Devin Larotte. Devin Larotte won in Orlando. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let me know. Now you've got me really curious. Hello all. Cool digs, Jeff.
Thank you.
There you go. Good to see you, Dan. By the way, good evening. Open a second calf gal. Yeah, that's what you're gonna have to do. Split it into a second one.
I have a second one.
You do? Because I've always had two. I didn't know you had two.
McManus, but it's
right.
It's an inside joke between us.
Yeah. He opened one just to make an inside joke for me. Yeah. He doesn't use it though.
I posted 1 or 2 comments on your article.
Yeah.
But that's the extent.
Yeah, but then you let it die. Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. Hey, Carl, what's up, man? Just so you know, Carl, I mentioned earlier at the top of the show that because I'm traveling right now, I have had better things to do than to troll YouTube for the last several days. So I have no idea if you or anybody else has posted videos, which I'm sure you probably have. But if you have, I couldn't do a promo, but next week. All right. Arm wrestler. Oh, why would you think I would know an arm wrestler's name, though? That's so weird. Canada won Olympic gold in breaking. That we know.
We actually watched that today because someone talked about the Australian. we had to watch that. So.
And by the way, one of our friends here, he's not here yet. I'm expecting he'll probably tune in after. David Barr, he always tunes in on a Monday. For him, it's Monday because he's in Australia. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of waiting for him to tune in so we can ask him about what he thought about his representation in breakdancing, you know? Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that, but if you haven't seen it, please go on YouTube and just type in something like Australian breakdancing.
Female. It was a female.
Female. Yeah, it's the female.
The Olympics, yeah.
And try to get the video that shows you the whole dance so you get, the best of it. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
And there's some fun memes after already.
Yes, there are already tons of funny memes. Only 3 Australian CSN win the break. Come okay. Phil Wizard. Look at you guys knowing his name. B-boy Rubén.
That's right.
I don't know if I ever told you guys real quick. When I was in high school, I believe in senior year, we were trying to learn to break, and I dragged I was probably 3 miles. My school was 3 miles from home. And 4.5 kilometers. And I found this big giant piece of cardboard at school. And I was like, oh my God, I could use that for breaking. So I literally dragged that thing, gigantic, dragging it down the sidewalk on a hot spring day, all the way home. I finally got a killer piece of cardboard. Dropped it on my lawn. Tried to do the backspin, realized for some reason it didn't spin at all. I got pissed off and I just dumped it in the trash immediately after walking for an hour, hour and a half or however long it was. Yeah, that's how stupid I was. Yeah, sweating my ass off, all for nothing. Yes, Ray, look at all these guys. They actually know the names. Raygun was the name. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, wow. Some of these guys have been watching. Ruben's idol was Snow. You know it, baby.
Rubén was one of the original Beastie Boys before they were.
That's it. That's it. That's right. Instant legend, Carl. Yeah, that's good. You guys already know what we're talking about. So very cool. Rubén the Breaker. And watched her live. Oh, you saw live. It was the funniest shit I've seen in a long time. I did not start tagging. I never tagged in my life, not even once. And finally, the same thing. You did the same thing with cardboard? There you go. So you can relate to me, Tom. That's awesome. Cookie Puss, that's right, Beastie Boys. All right, so let's get into it, everybody. I guess we'll start as usual.
So I only think one piece of art that's coming up. So
yeah, so guys, again, as I always tell you, I am once again the selector of the pieces. I can't remember why, but I did tell Jeff one of the pieces that's in there. Well, technically the other 5 from this. Whatever, but I don't count that. But so I selected. So he, for the most part, there's a couple of things that are coming up that he does know are coming up. Other than that, though, it's going to be a surprise to him, and so that'll be fun as always. I always find it's nice to get spontaneity, and when you're like, oh, that, okay, cool, and, yeah.
And if I forget, you have to forgive me, because
I've
had a lot of art go through my collection.
Yeah, exactly. And then, Olympic break-in was lacking compared to Turbo and Ozone. Thank you. Hold on. I have to put this up there. So as we were watching it, I kept saying to Jeff, I was like, is this what passes for breaking these days? Because those guys in Brooklyn, New York, all over New York City in the early 80s, early to mid 80s, these guys at the Olympics had nothing on those guys from the New York in the early 80s to mid 80s. Like that shit was really amazing. Way harder than whatever this fancy footwork they were doing at the Olympics. So yeah, absolutely. Turbo and Ozone. That's awesome. That's from the movie. Was that Breakin' Electric Boogaloo? I can't remember. There was a few breaking movies, breakdancing movies. So I'm the illest MFer from here to Gardena. Nice. She looked like Stewart from the old Mad TV show. Look what I can do. right, TJ? Look what I can do. That was Michael McDonald from Mad TV. Yeah, that was awesome. And I still want to see the Olympic criteria for how the scoring was done. Yeah, we'd be curious, right? Well, don't forget, though, she did score 0, correct?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yes.
She got zeros across the board for everything, everybody. So just so you know. So now you got to see it if you haven't seen it. Yeah.
You couldn't do worse.
Yeah, no, you couldn't possibly, unless you fell off the stage.
Disqualified, maybe.
Yeah, disqualified for doing one of these fancy footworks and kicking the other competitor or something, you know. So getting back to what we were saying. So so I picked everything, and before we get into it, though, you guys know I always like to get a little bit of a background on the history of how my guests got into the hobby. And tonight, because we are doing strips, forget how you got into comic books, forget how you discovered original art, but just if we can specify to stay on topic, when and how you, if you remember, how you discovered strip art specifically for the first time, and perhaps how you, what made you sort of decide to, you know what, I'm going to buy that first piece, you know, and then it kind of went on from there. Kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, so I think early on in my collecting, I'd met a couple of local collectors that were collecting art a little bit longer than me. So I hadn't been in it that long, and I'd met up with them, and at that time they were talking about, they like Win Mortimer strips.
Win Mortimer strips, of all things.
Like David Crane.
Oh, really?
They were really big into that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so that's the first time I was exposed to sort of strip art as an original piece of art. I think I'd probably seen the images when I was looking on eBay and things like that.
Right.
But first time seeing those in person, and I really like the design of strips. I probably did end up with at least one of the Win Mortimer strips.
Okay. And what just I always tell everybody, if you can remember the year-ish
for the strip.
No, that this happened. Yeah.
This would have been probably 99.
Okay.
So like maybe in my first year and a half of collecting.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's local collectors here that had that stuff, and yeah. And I think it's just because I'd been introduced now to strips as I was looking through for stuff to figure out what I like to collect, because I started with Sienkiewicz and Chic initially, and so I bought a lot of that stuff, and then I was very big into Jungle Girls, so the Fiction House stuff. But as I broadened my horizons and started looking around, I started just picking up a couple strips, and then there was more. And the things that I think the reason I like strips is there's a couple of things. I think they present very well, because I think we mentioned this before, but they were meant to stand on their own. They're meant to stand on a page by themselves. They're not part of a story. Right. So not like a comic book page there's, to most strips, at least the ones that have like continuity, there's a beginning, middle, and end, and it's not an easy job being able to take 3 or 4 panels. Right. Put people where you're starting the story, move the story along, and then have some kind of end that closes it, so that for the next day you can continue doing that. And if I may add, for those of you who don't really know much about the way the strip business worked, the newspaper strip business, not only did every daily have, usually, not always, but obviously, usually it was 3 panels, you know, but on top of being able to sort of continue that story in only 3 panels for that day, in most cases, the first panel had to kind of recap the previous days. What had just happened. Yeah, and set the stage for the set the stage. Yeah. So you're kind of dealing with one kind of recap panel and 2 newer ones. So from a storytelling point of view, they had a lot less room to get a story moving along, and so they really had to decide what was important and essential. Yeah. And in moving a story forward. So I like that aspect of strip art. I also have to understand that, especially back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even strip artists made a lot more money than comic artists. Yes. Like multiples of money. And so comic artists would have given up their job in a second to get a syndicated strip.
Oh yeah, back in the day. Yeah. So think about that, guys. You know,
like Jack Kirby would have given up.
Right. Oh yeah.
He would have given up Marvel if he could have gotten a syndicated strip.
Absolutely.
In a second. Yeah.
Yeah. Think about that, guys.
Yeah.
There was a time where, like Jeff says, even Jack Kirby in the 60s and the 50s, there was a time when if they had the opportunity to become a syndicated comic strip, newspaper strip artist, most, because there are some who still loved superheroes and, you know, like comics, but you could say most comic book artists would have given their eye teeth to drop comics and just get a syndicated strip and work on that every day. It was considered, believe it or not, it was considered prestigious, right? It's, you know, more so the further back you go in the history of strips, it was a lot more prestigious, and then it got sort of less and less as time went on, right? But there was a time where these guys were considered like celebrities.
They were movie stars.
Yeah.
They went to the big Hollywood,
right?
And
Hollywood parties
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they were.
Yeah. So imagine it's how things have changed.
It's funny, like Frank Godwin, who did this comic strip Rusty Riley in the 50s. He was friends with Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
And when he was living in Havana, Hemingway used to call him or write to him and say, "Can I come visit to go fishing?" And they would hang out and fish. And, you know,
that's
they moved in some pretty high circles as well.
Yeah. And some of the, I would say some of the earliest stars in newspaper strips became very, very wealthy.
Oh, extremely.
Yeah.
They were relative like multi-millionaires. Of their generation.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy because not many comic book artists you can say, you know, became millionaires. Like, if you think about it, probably nobody other than a few of those guys in the image explosion era, right? Because the prices and the right, it was just going nuts.
There are a few other exceptions. I think Jamie Hewitt's a bit of an exception to that.
Whatever, there's always going to be exceptions, but I'm saying in general, right? Like, and most of these guys struggle, and
so. But my point to that was also that, to some extent, the better artists may have ended up in strips,
right?
As well, or at least the ones that were more consistent. Because even going back to the 50s and 60s, I think a lot of artists were doing the job because that's what they got, because it was a job. They got paid. They were producing this stuff, but it may have not been their passion, but it was it was their vocation.
Yeah,
they made comics.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I think the generation now, because they were, I think a lot of those people had come in with illustration backgrounds and things like that. So comics was just another way to pay the bills at the time.
Yeah,
as opposed to the more current generations of comic book artists. They're there because they want to do comic book. Yeah, you know, it was a different mindset back then. Yeah. And so if you got a better paying gig, you would have gone for it.
That's it. Yeah. Especially as a syndicated cartoonist in those days, because no internet existed. Newspapers were a big sort of form of media, right? Newspapers, television, that was it, right? And before television, newspapers only, pretty much, you know, and radio, right? So visually, it was just newspapers, right? Yeah.
And I'm very interested in, you know, sort of pedigree within comic artists and where they take their influences from. And so when you're looking at artists going back in time, you look at the ones that influenced them. And so most artists go back to comic strip influencers,
right?
Too. Like Caniff's been a big influence. You know, if you're a Bruce Timm fan, you got to know that, you know, Jack Kirby was a big influence. If you like Jack Kirby, you got to know that Caniff was a big influence.
Right.
And if you look Caniff, you got to look back who was before him, and you know how Noel
Sickles
changed the way he did things, but the artists that he looked at. Yeah. If you're a fan of Tintin, Hergé loved McManus.
Right.
He was one of the guys that he looked at when he was learning to do stuff.
Yeah. As George McManus of Bringing Up Father, for those of you who don't know.
And and I'm sure Tezuka was looking at things like Roy Crane and things like that when he was You know, they probably got some.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's like a worldwide influence, you know, influencing people.
So understanding that, and then even going back to that early stuff, it's really interesting to see that's when the language of comics was being developed. How to tell a story, how to move from one panel, how do you do motion lines, how do you do making someone dizzy, all these things. How do you break a border the first time all those things were done? Yeah. So these guys were creating language, creating the rules of sequential storytelling, and then they would break the rules and do something new, and all these pioneering things like that. Yeah. I think you look at that stuff and you don't see another big jump in that kind of pioneering things until you look at maybe panel layouts by guys like Krepax in the 70s, and you look at Chris Ware now, like he's just creating new language on a daily basis
For
with how he does
swear.
panels and stuff like that. But it's those are the things that really excite me about strip art.
Right.
Yeah, the stories are fun. Like Terry and the Pipes is a great story. I was never a superhero guy, so for me.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt him just to say, did you hear that? He says, I was never a superhero guy. And yet, even though he's known more for the amazing strip art that he has had a lot of killer superhero art, and he still has a lot of pretty awesome art. So
yeah, I still have some stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm, to be honest,
for a guy who doesn't like,
yeah,
well, no, I can't say you don't like, but you're never really been into strongly, into the superhero.
I started reading Tintin and Asterix as my first comics.
Yeah.
And as I went, I like Ducks, I like Chip and Dale, that kind of stuff when I was growing up. And it wasn't until I was like 13 or 14 that I actually really read any superhero stuff. And
right. Look what John says, that Bruce Timm is also a big Frank Robbins fan.
Yeah. And Frank Robbins was a copycat of Caniff at the beginning of his career, right?
Right.
And then he developed his own style. But if you look at especially the Scorchy Smith stuff that Frank Robbins did, it's for
sure.
Very, very strongly influenced by Caniff.
Yeah, very much. CJ points out that Senior loved Caniff.
Yeah. And I've actually got it's not here because it's getting, but I've got a Terry and the Pirates cover from Ramita Senior's collection. It was on his wall.
Oh wow!
For many years, and
cool.
It was a not a George Wonder. It was a Lee Elias done cover, but it was Terry and the Pirates.
Oh wow! By the way, I'm just curious. Did I misspeak before? Are you just associating that Lowell, or did I misspeak and I meant to say? Did you mention Herriman and I think you said McManus?
I said McManus, George.
Oh, you did say McManus. Okay, so I said bringing up father.
Yes.
So okay. So he's associating.
No, but I mean, of course, maybe just mentioning George Herriman.
Yes.
Such an influence on people.
Yes.
His abstract art, and also maybe about how language of comics was changing.
Right.
And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy Cats is poetry. It's
That's right. Corey Russ asking, were any of the old strips horror related? And I would have to say, I don't remember any.
Horror related.
It wasn't really like a genre, horror,
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it.
Yeah. I'll think about it. I don't think so. I'm trying to think what the most Dark Shadows wasn't really horror, but I guess it's kind
the closest. The closest. Corey, there wasn't really any true horror as you know it. Strips.
There were ghost stories in the early Mickey Mouse and things like that, but they're kind of goofy kind of horror.
Yeah. So I would say some gothic type stuff. Mm-hmm. So like Jeff had mentioned, Dark Shadows, but that would have been very early 70s
with the TV show and
because of the TV show. Yeah, exactly. But horror is not really a genre that came into being really until much later. And Rick says that the first piece of art I bought from Jeff way back when was a Lil Abner Frazetta ghosted strip piece. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Aren't they all?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I have a couple. I wish I could say.
What I meant nowadays.
Or most people who got from you?
No. Most people that have a Little Abner within half a century of.
Are they all Frazettas? You mean?
They all have Frazettas.
Yeah, they got the Frazetta for sure. Yeah. No, according to the owners. Yeah, according to all the owners of them, right? The only horror is Broomhilda. Exactly.
I like Broomhilda.
Yeah. No, for sure. That was always funny, but yeah, that's true. Corey, there you go. Broomhilda. Comedic horror.
Well, Casper's a ghost technically, so maybe.
Casper, he was friendly though. You're very welcome. Very welcome. Okay, so then you got those early strips, whatever, and what was it that really got you to decide? Like, was it just a moment that you were like, oh man, I'm going to look for more? And if you did, what did you decide to start looking to track down? Did you have anything, or was it just, hey, let me look what's on eBay? Let me look at, was it squirrels and stuff?
A lot of that was, but I started directing goals because there's some bigger strip artists, ones that have had longer series, but also been, again, going back to the idea of being influential.
Yeah.
I wanted representations on people that were important to kind of develop an overview of the entire genesis of all this stuff.
Right. And then do you remember, like, was there a particular newspaper strip that because I know, like, everybody who who's familiar with your collection, they know that you're really big on Terry and the Pirates. Mm-hmm. Would that have been the first series that you began sort of trying to get multiples of, and like that you just wanted more and more of?
So I think I did have a couple Terrys, but I hadn't read Terry yet.
Right.
So I didn't have context. So strip art's great, but when you have the context for it, it
changes a lot.
So I had a couple of really great Terrys with the Dragon Lady on, like one of her first appearances in the daily part. Back when it first started, the Dragon Lady was in the Sundays, and then the dailies were separate. And it wasn't until about a year and a half in that they joined.
Right.
But the Dragon Lady didn't appear in the first part of the dailies until the strips joined. But anyways, I had one of the first appearances, and then I'd sold that, regrettably, and because I didn't fully appreciate what I actually had.
What you had at the time, yeah, sure.
And then when IDW did their reprinting, I read Terry in the Parts, and I really fell in love with that series. But
yeah, and that was off to the races.
Yeah. Now, what I tell people too is that, when people are getting into strip art, I always warn them that, comic art might be like cocaine, but strip art's like crack cocaine. You don't know how addictive strip art is, and there are a few casualties. I know of that.
You know a few
that have said, you were completely right. I've given up on comic books altogether.
Look at can I say one? Can I throw one out?
Sure.
Chris Kalaki with Carol Day.
Yes.
Because everybody knows him now, right?
And other strips as well too. But
that's what he's really kind of known for by the average person who doesn't even collect strips, right? Yes. They know that, this guy Chris, he's really into Carol Day, whatever. And before that, you may not have known him by name, Yeah.
When Chris was part of the CFA APA, which I write for, he wrote an article on Carol Day and how it came to America. And and the first sentence was...
Great article.
Yeah, something to the effect that Jeff Singh's an evil man.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's right. That's right. He blamed it all on you. Yeah. And with good reason. But it's a good thing, Yeah. So, awesome. Okay. So just before we step into the gallery to show the art, just one last question. I'm curious. Just to get people to have an idea of the size of your collection. Do you even know how many, or even close to how many total strips you currently own, or at one point have ever owned?
So my total collection's been up to probably about 5,500 pieces,
including comic art.
Comic art. Including strips. Right. I think I'm down to about 2,200.
Oh, you're down that far down?
Yeah, and I think probably 800 or 900 pieces of strip art are part of that. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And it was low last year, but last year I bought a large collection of strip art, which we can probably talk about later.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we have time to get to that story. Yes. Yeah, that's a great story to tell. But let's get into the art first. Yeah, we'll see how the speed goes, and we'll see what time we're making, and then at some point, if we're making really good time, we'll take a break, and you can tell them that story. That's a pretty awesome story. So
that's Hergé Tintin from 1946.
Let me get here you go. Yeah. Oh, it is that tiny art. Man, even with I guess
if that's one, that's Tintin. That's a Tim Sale, and that's Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, it's over your shoulders. That's probably the one he's talking about, Hey, Adam Law's in the house. I also know Jeff has some manga affinities. Sure, that's for sure, such as the godfather of manga, Osamu Tezuka. Did that come later? Also, what led you there? I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but give a quick answer to that if you can.
I was, Akira changed my world when it came out, 1988. I went to see it in the theater when I was 18 years old, and I think that was my first introduction to manga. Actually, that's not true. I would have seen Battle of the Planets on TV and things like that.
Yeah,
after school television and stuff like that.
Yeah, but at that time, you probably never even knew the word manga existed.
Yeah,
right?
but Akira, that's so much more advanced than it just blew my mind. And even watching today, Akira is probably still the best anime ever made, I think. I don't think anything's really gone beyond that as well. And so that was, and so I got more into anime. I knew about Astro Boy. I didn't have interest because it looked like a goofy. What's that? Sorry.
Oh, Rich Danny's.
Oh, yeah, The Shining. Yeah.
Oh, The Shining team. Just
I actually have socks that look the same too.
Okay. They do.
They're my Shining socks too. Yeah.
Wow.
The same design, but yeah.
That's wild. Okay, sounds good. Well, so you ready to start looking at a little bit of art? Yeah. Okay, sounds good, everybody. All right. Thanks for hanging in and listening to some good info. Let us get into this show and tell. And the first piece in tonight's show and tell will be interesting. Okay, should we tell so there's a little story actually that goes with this. since we've made everybody wait, why don't we show? Do you want to show these pieces, and as we show, start telling your story?
Sure. On these ones, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
On these. Okay, so guys, I've got, I believe, 4 or 5 pieces that we're going to show to start off with. Oh, you didn't know? That's right. You didn't know.
I don't think I probably knew then. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so it's gonna be the. Well, you guys see what I used as the artwork for the background of tonight's thumbnail, and so that's what we're going to show that first, and you'll know what that's from, and then you'll see 2 versions of it, and then you'll see 3 more pieces, and there's a story to that. So yeah, so why don't we start by showing that first one here? All right, and this is, like you guys saw, this is the extended version. Of course, I couldn't fit it all in on the thumbnail, so now you see the whole thing. It's a beautiful woman, and just to show you quickly that for publication, you get the zipatone in areas. And I have to ask you, out of curiosity, was the blur just an effect from the
it was
a mistake? Yeah.
My scanning or no, because it's from a book.
Okay.
And the way it curved, I think
I
scanned it, or I took a photograph, and it was just that little spot was out of focus.
Okay.
Because probably because of the curve of the book.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I'd like to see this anyway, so that's fine. So we'll leave it on this. So very beautiful, and I have to say, so this is Gold Tiger 2016 by Jimmy Broxton. Got to say, I don't know who the heck Jimmy Broxton is, and I'm into, and I've been into strip art since 2001. So that's why there's a story to this, guys. And
you'll notice it's actually not signed by Jimmy Broxton; it's signed by Beretti.
Right. So
it's part of the story.
Exactly. So there you go, guys. So Jimmy Broxton, you're probably looking and wondering who the heck is that Beretti signature for, and so that's part of the whole story. Which, why don't you tell us a little bit about what this project is all about and exactly how it came into being?
So this was a Kickstarter I came across back when Kickstarter was just starting out. Right. Just as an offside, Kickstarter I don't back as much anymore, just because in Canada the shipping costs more than the actual thing does.
Yeah.
And to this, so I've actually just stopped looking, and then I try and support the people after when they've actually published it. I'll buy it from them on the secondary market or whatever, not secondary market, but later when they've got it, but not.
Yeah. Hey, Mark.
So this was a Kickstarter, and the way they did it, they actually framed it quite interestingly. It is new art, so it is a story that they created in the style of 1960s, but they had this whole backstory, and even when you're reading the Kickstarter, you really couldn't tell that's what it was. They made it sound like they'd been doing some research and they found this long forgotten strip from the late 60s, Italian strip by an artist named Antonio Beretti, and hence the signature. And then they also talk about Louis Schaefer, I think, was the writer, and they talk about this. It was published in the British, but it was an Italian artist that they had, and it had some nudity and all the themes of the late 60s. And so it was a really fun idea. They had a couple examples of what they're doing. So you saw how they originally drew the strip, and then they kind of aged it and made it look like it was
done in the 60s. Yeah.
And so I like the project. I backed it. It's a fantastic little book. I have my copy here.
Yeah, and I just checked the other day, and it's not out of print. At least on Amazon.ca, the Canadian Amazon, it was still available. Yeah, you could still order it.
Yeah, so it's a fun book, and in it they actually do a biography of the different artists that they made up, a false biography. It's super funny. They go on the backstory and they do an interview with them, and then they start showing a bunch of the examples of the strips. But in that part of that Kickstarter, one of the things one of the reward levels was that you could support them to a level that you'd be included in the story. No one took that, so I actually contacted them after the fact, after the Kickstarter had finished.
Oh, that's how it happened.
Yeah. Oh, and because the original art wasn't part of the deal.
Oh, okay.
You could be included as a character.
I'm glad. See, this is good that we're doing. I didn't know that detail. Okay.
Yeah, and as an original art collector, I wanted some art, and then so I got in contact with them. We talked and we agreed on that. And so they and we did that, and then they had some publishing issues after, so it took them a little while to get the book out, but they did get the book out, and so I'd asked, so they included me as a character. I didn't know how they're going to do it, and they said, okay, well, we're gonna include you as a character. What did they details did they say? I think we talked about me being killed, because I've made one other previous appearance in a comic book where I'm beheaded as a cop,
Oh. Okay.
And so I thought I'd keep that theme going with me.
Okay.
My demise being in
your demise. Yeah.
And so that's kind of how that happened. And so but I didn't get to see what they actually did until it was published. And then because it took so long, they sent me.
They didn't show it to you until they published the book.
Yeah.
And so you first saw it after it published.
Yeah.
Did they show you scans at that point, or did you buy the? You got the book.
I got my.
And that's how you found out.
I got my book as a Kickstarter, and I'd only agreed to buy like one piece of art because I thought it'd only be in one panel or whatever.
Oh, you thought it'd be a one panel appearance?
I wasn't quite sure what they're going to do.
Oh, they didn't tell you.
That was up to them, right? Because they're writing stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I got my one piece of art, and because it took so long, as an apology, they sent me that girl in the hammock art as a thank you, and then a couple sketches and things like that.
Okay.
And as far as I know, that's the only art from this Gold Tiger.
That they've ever put
because they tend to work a lot digitally as well.
Oh,
so
really?
They'll do the panels, they'll put them together. So the strip I got might be one of the only like complete strips that are.
Really?
It was a super fun project, and I really liked the end product, and it was.
Yeah. And so, as a little treat, we're going to show you guys Jeff's appearance in this strip, which again is published in this Gold Tiger from 2016. Very 60s looking, like a fantastic job that they did.
So published in 2016 means the Kickstarter was probably 2013 or
right, because it took a few years.
Yeah.
And FYI, just in case you want to see a little bit of get some idea of what it looks like. There you go. So beautiful stuff, really beautiful stuff.
And then there's interviews and other stuff and pictures of stuff in there as well too. But I think it's a fun book.
Yeah. I think I want to get myself a copy actually. Lady with the golden tan. Marcus, okay, shows. And somebody earlier asked. I mean, I don't want to go off topic, but just really quickly, somebody had asked, "Are you going to any other shows this year?" I'm
going to Lucca, and I'm going to make sure I get to
Italy.
Before that, I'm going to Paris to catch the big comic art exhibition at Pompidou. It's their main modern art gallery in Paris and in France, and they've got comic art on all floors of that gallery. They've got a huge exhibition, probably the largest comic art exhibition to date anywhere in the world, and so I got to make sure I get there. And I think it ends in early November.
So the fall.
Yeah. And it just worked out with Lucca, the timing. So.
Yeah.
And then OX will be my next, OX and Heroes, I think, is my plan for next year. I'm not sure about San Diego yet, but.
Right. Okay. All right. So here we go, guys. I'm going to get into the artwork that ultimately these artists, the writer and artist of this the Gold Tiger project, drew to include Jeff into the story. All right. So let's take a look at those pieces, and man, I'm gonna have to remember what numbers we're on because I can't see the right. Okay, so the first two are the girl sun tanning. So all right, so the first one of the three. Check this out. All right, so there you go.
Yeah, so I sent them some pictures of me. They asked for like my head in different positions for lighting and things like that, and I had some from the other previous time when I got beheaded, so I just sent them the same pictures again. But
okay, and for those of you who don't know, well, why don't you tell everybody? Most people know that what you do for a living.
Yeah, I'm an emergency room physician, so I'm a doctor, and they made me into an evil scientist.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so they just added the smock.
They came up with that as well, and there's an evil Dr. Singh in Sweet Tooth, and people have asked me if I was the model for that because I know Jeff Lemire, and as far as I know, I wasn't. Because I don't look anything like them. But
yeah.
So these couple dailies I think might have been produced digitally. I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't own this?
No, I don't own these two. I only own the one I'm getting killed in, and then the other one. So
Okay. So there you go. So that's another one, and that's the second of three. And then this final one is the killer one. I mean, literally and figuratively. Check it out. That's awesome. Like, that's awesome. And especially to own that.
Yeah.
You know?
Fun,
yeah, that's fun, man. Like, by the way, did you frame this? No.
I don't have that framed, but I do have a printout because I actually like the way it printed better than, like, you know, with the aging better? And stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
right.
I made a copy of that.
My frame that one?
It was stuck somewhere before. I'm not sure what it is. So I have a printed it around. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but that's spectacular. I mean, I think it's every comic art or comic reader's dream is kind of like, hey, it'd be awesome to be a character in a comic, right? Be put into a comic book, especially.
I know a lot of artists used to, like, if they're doing a graveyard, they put names of friends or creators on the tombstone, just as a little like Easter egg thing. But
yeah, exactly. Very cool, says Kavi. Rick says, dying in style. That's for sure. That's really, really awesome. Oh, hey, what's up, Bob? Thanks for dropping in, man.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. At least 24 hours. Next artist, Ali request. I'd like you to illustrate my demise.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, that could be a theme, Kavi, right? Like if you're, for those of you who love to do commissions, that could be a cool theme. Yeah, draw yourself in dying in as many different ways as possible, right?
Get Wolverine putting claws through you.
Yeah. Yes, getting skewered by Wolverine. That'd be awesome. I said it as a joke, but now that I think about it, that's kind of cool. Yeah, maybe I should do that at some point. This is wild. Love it. What's up, Dwayne? Yeah, so very, very cool. Let us have a headache that won't quit. That's right. That's right. No, it's not a headache that Advil or a Tylenol will cure. That's for sure. Let me remove this before I get to the comment there. And before we get to the next one, just real quick, Stanley says, does Jeff want any peanuts or Calvin and Hobbes?
I have a peanuts.
There you go.
I'd love Calvin and Hobbes, but I think that's moved beyond what I'm willing to spend on things.
Fair enough.
But I don't know if any of you have ever seen Calvin and Hobbes in person. They are gorgeous. Billy Ireland Museum at Ohio State University. They've got the Calvin and Hobbes. They're holding on.
Right.
So the only Calvin and Hobbes that are out there, if you don't know, are things that were either gifted, and I think back in the day, Bill Watterson used to trade like a Crazy Cat Sunday for a daily.
Oh wow!
So if you had a Crazy Cat Sunday, he would trade. But that's the only way you could have gotten the strip. So there's probably less than 24 Calvin and Hobbes in the wild.
Wow.
And of course, huge demand, no supply. That means
big prices. Yeah. Big prices. So there you go, Stanley. I know he's joking, but Marcus says, is this the golden age of Garfield strip collecting?
It is.
Apparently, because there's like millions out there. It must be because everybody wants them now.
You buy them now because like in 10 years you'll be going,
I should have. Yeah. Oh, damn it. I wish I didn't miss the boat on all those 5 million Garfield strips, That's right. Tom says that Calvin Hobbes I've read probably 3 times now. Complete. Yeah. Love it. Tom says, what about Boone County?
I've had, but I don't have currently.
Nothing? Oh, not even one?
No.
Interesting.
But I love Bill the Cat.
Bill the Cat. That's all I cared about.
Opus. I like Opus.
Okay. Too. Yeah, I was not that I hated him, but I just loved Bill the Cat, and that was kind of what I wanted to see, I'm a big fan of Bloom County. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. Let us continue the show and tell everybody we begin with the first piece from Jeff's collection that he is not getting killed in. And let us get to that. We'll cue this up. So let me see. So we start with 2, 3, 4. Okay, here we go. First piece in tonight's docket. Check it out. So this is Twin Earths from 1960 by Alden with McWilliams. One of my kind of favorites and very affordable artist. But one of the guys who, what I loved about him is not only was he a very good illustrator for the strips and comic books, by the way, he did some fantastic like Star Trek and some other stuff, beautiful stuff. But in the strip world, very affordable.
Yes.
Given the ratio of quality to affordability, amazing. Yeah. Bang for your buck level is awesome. Yeah.
Underrated is overused in this hobby when talking about people, but he is like truly underrated. He was a fantastic illustrator. Started, I think it was in the 40s probably with he was doing pulp magazine stuff, and he did some aviation things.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes. Those drawings and stuff like that. And then he moved into, and Twin Earths is a fun science fiction story. It's about like a second Earth that's like almost like an evil Earth, but it's on the other side of the sun, and they rotate at the same speed, so we could never detect that the other Earth was there.
Oh, is that what it's about?
I think that's the base of it. And I've read a few of them. I haven't, because they haven't been collected, which is a real shame.
Oh, that's right. It's never, ever.
And so
not even back in the 80s when they were trying to revive it?
Yeah, I don't
think so. I've never seen it. No,
I've seen like a couple smaller versions of it collected, but I don't think everything's been collected properly, and they're but so I'd really like to read that strip in completion. But yeah, he was a fantastic artist. I think, again, being underrated, I think people got him confused with Al Williamson.
Yes,
partially because they had a similar style,
similar name.
Yeah, and I think the thing with him as well is because he did some. Twin Earths wasn't a super popular strip. He never really did anything mainstream that made him well known. Like if he had been on Batman for half a year or something, he would have been a god. Like but because he never did anything, he's largely forgotten for what he did. Yeah,
exactly. And look, that's a great comment, man. And like I said, Tom, honestly, I respect that because, again, I know you primarily as a comic book mainstream comic book fan. And for you to say we don't get anything like these older strips now, and that's true. Certainly,
the continuity strip, the adventure strip, is unfortunately died.
Exactly,
they turned into the once a day kind of gag kind of strips for the most part.
Exactly,
there's still a few things around, but again, part of that is also because newspapers have died, the print runs and things like that. People don't subscribe to newspapers.
No, that's it. They're dying, right?
Yeah, so they're not going to spend the money on syndicated strips as much, and
exactly. A lot of amazing work, absolutely. Rob, great middle panel on that McWilliams. Exactly. I mean, it's funny because Kavi mentioned here, nice, a whole space scene in half a panel, which is very true, right? It's really amazing. But again, and you guys know this because I've said it so many times, I love draftsmen, true draftsmen who can draw everything, especially hands. Right, and I know you you also you can appreciate the top half of that panel as much as I do. Right, that's like fantastic. You even have another strip. I don't know if we'll see it tonight, but there's another strip in your collection that it has the most amazing hand in a panel. It's one panel, nothing but a hand, and I believe you bought it because of the hand. I don't know if you can remember what I'm talking about, but I don't think I chose it for tonight.
But I think it's another McWilliams as well.
It might be.
I think it's another one, yeah. And another thing too with him, he ghosted for
Lee
on Dan Flagg.
Oh, that's right.
For Preston, he didn't get the credit, but you can always tell.
You can tell that's when he drew it. Yeah, absolutely.
Preston, but was it Sherwood? Don Sherwood.
Don Sherwood.
Yeah, but it was like night and day when he was on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. For those of you who don't know, I just want to say really quickly, Twin Earths is actually a science fiction strip, but if you don't read it and you just look at, strip like dailies from throughout the strip's run, you'll see that there was at times where it actually looks like you would never think it was a science fiction strip. You would think it looked like, because I actually, if you look at my gallery, guys, I have a series of strips that makes it appear as if this series was actually a film noir type crime series. That's what it is, But yeah, it was actually science fiction. So really cool. I would love to get this collected, not only because of the art's nice, but I would love to read it.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking there was a collection. I've got a few of the books, but they're quite a long time ago. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if they collected the Sundays in them as well too or not. But I have to look at them again. Yeah.
But yeah, fabulous. Okay, so from there, everyone, we're going to the next piece. The next piece also, you will see that tonight, I pretty much never do this. I chose to, I like to mix things up. And tonight I did choose for the first time to put, when I have selected anything where like more than one piece by the same artist, I've elected tonight to put them back to back. So we see the same artist twice. So after we see that, we go to this next piece. Let's check this one out. Also by Alden McWilliams, and a fantastic example, again, by Twin Earths, a single panel daily, which was the strip area, if you will, the strip world's version of a splash page, but much, much, much rarer than comic book splash pages, right?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Without question.
Because it's hard to move the plot along if you got one panel.
Yeah. No plot's being moved here. Yeah.
So it was used for effect. And this came from the collection of Bob Murphy, who I don't know if some of you may know. He was an older collector, passed away, I think maybe 5 years ago, roughly, in his early 90s, living independently at home. And he was in the newspaper industry and he started collecting in the 50s and 40s, writing letters to artists and had the most fantastic strip collection, and he was the largest Terry and the Pirates collector. At one point, he had 550 Terry and the Pirates dailies. He had 4 dozen Sundays, and if you've been watching Heritage over the last couple of years, it ended about 2 years ago, but for about 2 years they had like just an unlimited supply of Terry and the Pirates coming up. And that those were all from Bob Murphy's collection. And if you actually have a Terry and the Pirates, you flip it over in the back. If there's really neat writing on the back of it, that's Bob Murphy. You can tell that was from him. And so I visited Bob twice. He lived in rural Alabama, actually Atlanta. Sorry, rural Atlanta. Rural Atlanta. And the second time I went to his house, he had this piece just laying around, I think, and it just blew my mind. Like it was. After everything else I'd seen, all the fantastic Dragon Lady and things like that, this place was like, wow, that's the piece. And yeah. And when it came through Heritage, I of course I knew what it was and where. And I was waiting when Bob's stuff was coming through Heritage to see if this one would actually come through. And
I'm not surprised.
It went for so many multiples of what a normal one would go through, but. Yeah, Bob was a friend. This is an important piece to him. It means a lot to me, and it's an artist I like. And so, not only is it art I like, it reminds me of Bob and his collection. So it's important that way.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great story, you know. Good evening to you, Wes Stephan in the house. Love the Twin Earths strip. Yeah, for sure. That's an amazing example. Well, they both are, really. They both are. But of course, I know these more comic booky type guys would love the splash page version of the newspaper strip, you know.
And McWilliams are the best looking girls, like he.
Oh yeah.
It was.
Yeah, very lovely. Yeah. I love the way he did the dresses with all these, you know,
the patterns.
The patterns on the dress. Oh my God. Yeah. You guys really should do yourselves a favor, everybody, and just do some searches online, whether it's on CAF or whatever. The women are exquisite, and the way he draws their dresses, the patterns on their dresses, just fantastic, just really beautiful.
Just channeling Raymond, but yeah.
Yeah. Tom says, what are some recommendations for strip art books to pick up? That's interesting.
So you mean books to teach you about strip art?
Yeah, I would say that, right?
Because
just to kind of learn a bit about. So I would say.
So. I'm trying to think of.
If you could only get 3 books, so you're making it tough.
Yeah,
I've got some at home. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second, and we will go here.
If I could only get 3 books, this would be the first 2. Because I use this book. This is the Bible.
Yeah, I call it the magic book.
Yeah. Ruben's too cheap to buy it, so he.
So I call him. I email him, and he gives me the information from the magic book.
There's nothing in it except pure data.
Yeah, it's all data.
And so they would, for every strip that's been in North America, they'll have the start date, the end date. They'll tell you each artist. They'll tell you who is ghosting on that. It's an invaluable resource. At the back, they have cross references of names and strips and syndicates and publications.
Yeah.
There's a CD that goes with this that has, I think, tens of thousands of images to go along with all these strips. I've never even had to look at the CD, but.
Yeah.
But that's a fantastic book. There are a few books, like there's one on King Features and all their Sundays. King Features was a very important publisher.
Big syndicate.
Yeah.
Big syndicate.
They did a lot of the things like Chicago Tribune was another big one. The Hearst was a big one, but King Features did a lot of the things you'd be most familiar with.
Yeah.
As well too.
Tom, you're kind of catching us on the spot with that question, I admit, because.
There's one called The Comics. I'm just looking over there because that's one of my reference sections.
Okay.
Brian Walker. So Mort Walker from Beetle Bailey, his son, is like a comic art historian.
Okay.
And they used to run a comic art museum that I think was in New York and then moved to, I think, Boca Raton for a bit before it dissolved. But Brian Walker's like one of the experts in comic historians.
Tom, to also, if I can answer, because it's hard to other than this, because this he remembers right away because it's a great reference. It's the best, single most incredible reference book on strip art. Well, not really on strips, but in terms of kind of like the history of strips and stuff, it's hard even for us strip fans to answer that, because it's kind of thing where a book comes out, you see it, and you're like, oh, that looks interesting, and you buy it. You don't necessarily remember what the book was called, you know. I've got a great one. I think it was the first one I ever bought. I got it at home. I couldn't tell you what the name is. I'd be happy to email you, get in touch and tell you what it is after I get home in a couple of days, so, but yeah.
And before all these new books came out, Maurice Horn did a book called The World Encyclopedia of Comics, which was a great reference. Lots of errors in it, but it had so much information in there too. And that was, I think, back in the day, that was the Bible until this new book came out, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. Kavi wants to know, what size is a piece like this? And they all vary. I can tell you that right now, Kavi. They all vary.
But roughly, the average size of a piece of strip art is probably height between 5.5 and 6.5 inches, and width-wise, probably 20 to 22 inches for the most part. For the most part, there's bigger and smaller ones.
Yeah.
So I get custom-made Mylars made for my strip art, and I get them made.
And I buy mine from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're 8 inches deep and 24 inches wide, and it fits 95% of the art.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The strip art,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of you guys may not like the fact that, well, if it's a smaller strip, you got so much extra empty bag. I get that, but that's.
But it makes for storage and
it makes for uniform storage.
Yeah.
No matter what, all the bags are the same size. So, yeah.
Yeah. Bob Murphy, when I used to visit him, he didn't store his art in bags.
Right.
Like you go to his house, he had a wooden set of shelves. He'd open it up and he'd just pick out a stack this, put it down. And he goes, "There's Terry and the Parks from 1939." Oh wow. And that kind of stuff, and it was just yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, but strip art in general, Kavi. It runs the gamut. There's no it's not like comic art where standard is 11 by 17 and then there are some offshoot sizes after that. With from one series to another, strips can kind of vary or whatever, you got more and also one thing to know is that you'll find the more modern, the more contemporary they became, the artists began working on smaller size paper for the most part. If you want to get more impressive art in terms of size, you've got to get into the older. The older you go, the larger they were drawn on larger boards. I mean, if you get kind of like just to get an idea, I don't know if this helps you get some kind of frame of reference of for me, how big this thing might be.
And because they're framed, there's probably an extra.
Right. There's more.
A half inch there, and maybe an inch on the side or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. The borders, obviously. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. It says nice, excellent. That CD better come with 50 hours of dial-up.
That's right.
Nice. Rich says that it was in Rye, New York, answering from earlier. I don't remember what he was referring to. Sorry, Rich. Putting you on the spot makes for good shows. Thank you. Are fake pieces a problem in this hobby?
I can't say I've seen too many. I have a whole bunch of forgeries already, but I don't have strip art forgeries. But going back to that question, there was a guy that was forging art back in the 70s and 80s. I'm forgetting his name now, but he was quite well known. He was actually forging fine art after he forged comic art. He became a very famous fine art because he used to forge paintings by pretty well known artists, but make sort of a lesser kind of style, and he would donate it to museums.
Oh.
And then they were all found there, but because he was donating, he never actually got charged because he didn't actually sell them or anything like that.
Oh, right.
But before
he wasn't making money on it.
But before he did that, he was forging comic art. He started his career as a forger, forging comic art.
Oh, is that how he did? Oh.
And so he did some strip art pieces.
Okay.
Including some Flash Gordons and things like that. But because these pieces are published, you have reference for these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
my TJ, my answer is the simple answer. No. You asked if let me see if pieces are a problem. No. If you were to be more specific and say, have there ever been fakes or forgeries? I can't remember. I have a vague recollection of a story of how somebody had a strip and then people were questioning its authenticity or whatever. So no, I mean, when you can vaguely remember maybe one time, right, it's not a problem. And we can say that it's not a problem. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that. Very, very similar to regular comic book art, right? Like we don't really find other than sketches, right?
That's right.
Unpublished sketches.
Mark Landis, that's correct. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Mickey? Yeah. Mark Landis was his name. Thank you. Yeah, we always get the good knowledge droppers to help us out here. That's awesome. Just wanted to say real quick, look, I'm a big fan of Robert McGinnis. Tom, I don't really remember that. I don't think he ever did strip work, to my knowledge. Maybe he did tryouts if he wanted to do a strip, but I don't know anything about that, unless I've completely forgotten, you know.
I don't remember him doing any comic related
right.
Yeah, so I don't.
Right.
Not that I'm aware of, at least.
Right. I don't know anything cartoon related by McGinnis, Tom. So, but if you know of something and you can come up with some kind of visuals, I would love for you to get in touch and let me know, you know, or even, you know, text somewhere that says that he once did that, you know, I'd be interested. Oh, sorry, same thing. And hey, Mickey. Okay. All right, everybody, let us continue with the next piece here. And for that, so sorry. So we were here on the I think second and final Alden McWilliams example for tonight. And then that takes us to the next piece. Check this one out. Secret Agent Corrigan from 1979. For those of you who don't know, this strip initially started back in the 1930s, and it was known as Secret Agent X9. So X-9. Yeah, and then later on, decades later, they changed it to Secret Agent Corrigan.
Yeah, and started by Alex Raymond.
That is correct. That is correct. Started by the famous Alex Raymond, absolutely.
Started the same year. I think he started Jungle Jim and Flash Gordon, and he was doing all these at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like you guys always remember how Kirby was like, right? The oh yeah, look at all these titles he draws every month, you know? Alex Raymond was a wonderkind as well. Yeah. Drawing multiple daily and Sunday newspaper strips. So fantastic movement on this, by the way, Jeff. That first panel kills me every time.
Yeah.
The figure, right? The hanging off of the whatever you want to call it, the ship there. Just wow, it's like super. This is like killer sci-fi stuff to me.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and I think a long legacy in X9 getting to this point. But when Al Williamson, who also, like, that's why we talked just about Al McWilliams, got them confused because their styles are very similar, very realistic, and same kind of shading. They're all very Alex Raymond influenced as well. Yeah. When him and Archie Goodwin got this book, this series, they treated it almost like their own playground, right? In the sense that, hey, let's do a sci-fi thing. So they went and did a space thing, and then they wanted to do a Western, so they would do a Western theme. And then they wanted to do like a Lost Land scene, so they went and did dinosaurs in this. Right. And so they could do all the different genres they wanted, and they could tell the stories they wanted, and it was kind of fun. So you could see that with Al Williamson, that he just loved this stuff, and this is kind of one of the ones with the science fiction theme. Yeah, that was. Yeah, Dan says, just one of the greatest artists ever to work. Al was a legend, great person, and just an incredible artist. Yes. Yeah, we all agree for sure. Well, Jeff and I for sure. Love the details on the clothing. Yeah, I mean, I love the details everywhere. But yeah, he always did a great job also of doing those patterns. Like on what did they call him? I always refer to him as Ming because I'm thinking of obviously Flash Gordon. But what do you know what they called him? Yeah, Dr. Seven.
Dr. Seven. That's it. Right. Yeah. So all that work there, the detailed work to show his the fabric pattern of the fabric, and even here. Yeah, and it looks like just like Flash Gordon, right? The pants and the boot are the same as Flash Gordon. Yeah. This is Flash Gordon and Mig. Yeah, exactly. And that's what Rick said, right? Flash Gordon-esque, right? So yeah. And of course Al Williamson had a great run on Flash Gordon. Yeah. For King Features, not for King Features, but King Comics. King Comics, the comics, yeah. Oh yeah, beautiful work on those comic pages. Probably the highlight of his career, I think. But yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say that because he did some amazing EC stuff. He did some beautiful EC stuff. But he was learning at EC. For me, Flash Gordon, I think, is the peak. But yeah. Okay. Well, we can all pick our favorites. Exactly. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? We can argue and never come down to a consensus. So. Adam Law says, I feel like Gray Morrow is an artist that carried over and mostly stuck to the strip style of art throughout his career. Gray Morrow didn't really stick to comics all that much, right? He's kind of a guy who did a few things in the magazines in the 70s, right? A few comics also in the 70s. Yeah. He did quite a bit of strip art, though, because he worked on Tarzan. But he did more, yeah. And he had a couple of his own things as well, too. Yeah. Exactly. I always find him a little bit more hit and miss. Yeah, me too. I agree. Yeah. I agree. Did you hear that, Adam? Jeff and I agree that we find or have always found him to be a hit and miss artist. And what I mean by that is that I always found Gray Morrow to be like, if it was like you see the beautiful stuff he did. Like I don't know if you ever saw the Man Thing. He did some Man-Thing stuff for Marvel. You should check it out if you've never seen it. Really beautiful. And there's other nice stuff, but like some of that 70s magazine stuff, the black and white stuff.
Yeah, and he did a bunch of covers for, I think it was Charlton, like some house, Dark Secrets, or I can't remember the exact title, but he did.
Oh, yeah?
I think that's his best.
Oh,
part.
okay.
Yeah. But then sometimes I think maybe he was just rushed. Because they look rushed and less
you can tell.
Yeah.
Because he got into using markers, right? Cheap markers with thicker lines just to get it done
when
quicker.
He had the time to do it right, he was great.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it doesn't look like he had the time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why hit and miss, you know? Yeah, absolutely. And last couple of things. Rich says that Gray leaned to. Oh, do you not? We're talking about Gray Morrow right now, but I guess do you mean Al Williamson, Rich? Because I mean, listen, you don't get that realistic without being a photo rep. Of course, he always used photo rep. So I think you're referring to Williamson. But in what area would you say that it got too heavily leaned on, though? Let us know that. I'm curious what you think was sort of okay. So Gray. Okay, interesting. Okay, Gray Morrow. Really? You know, it's funny because what I remember the last thing. Oh, not Gray Morrow. I meant Williamson. Okay. Oh, you meant Williamson. He meant Morrow. Okay. Yeah. You guys are killing us. But yeah, look, they both used it, right?
Oh, yeah. So Al Williamson became. He was a fantastic inker.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I always think that
posing
that Al Williamson taught people how to ink John Romita Jr.
Oh, yeah.
But before them, I think they had struggling, and then he kind of developed a way of inking him that kind of defined his style on the Daredevil stuff, and then and that's kind of like
he was really helpful on that.
And then I think everyone else kind of just learned from Al.
Yeah.
But Al could ink anyone. He was fantastic at inking.
Yeah. Amazing.
Blade Runner, not all of it's his, but still, yeah.
Yeah. Although I gotta say, on that Blade Runner stuff, I'm stunned. I gotta give Carlos Garzón a lot of credit because he was like not only inking, sometimes finishing, but there's pages that he did, they look beautiful. And I don't know if you know, but if you ever looked at the other stuff that he inked, Garzón, it's like horrendous. Like some of the stuff that he's done, like he did Khazar the Savage in 1980, those early Khazar issues from the second series, right? And over Brent Anderson. Some of them at the beginning are nice, and then the rest are like, ooh, they're not. That's not like you would never think it was the same guy who inked the Al Williamson on the Blade Runner.
I'm supposed you read Blade Runner because it's got Harrison Ford in it.
I didn't read it.
Okay.
So you're correct in assuming I did not read Blade Runner. I know you're waiting to laugh about that. I could see the smirk on your face growing. I did not read it or watch it, for those of you who already know. No, but I looked at the art for sure. I mean, just because of Al Williamson. Yeah. I mean, how could you not, you know? Yeah. No. That's fantastic stuff for sure. And Marcus says, no way. Cosmic Odyssey was the bomb. The beauty of weekday strip art is that the original art was never drawn to have color, right? Except for Sundays. Yeah. The big contrast and gray tones make them complete for framing as it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Great comment, Mark. And CJ agrees with you as well. Dan says, you have to go back to EC with Williamson and realize they didn't return that work back in the day. Yes, criminal. Not so criminal, but in that case, it was more of the agreement, I believe. What I heard, it was the agreement that William Gaines had, and they all agreed to it or whatever. So it's not like they were fighting William Gaines and saying, oh, why am I not getting my art back? You know what I mean? That's my understanding.
One of the good things that came as an offshoot of that is that all the EC art survived, I think, for the most part.
Yes.
So
absolutely the best thing that came out of that. Yeah, that it all survived, and not only did it all survived in like mint condition.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like it was like literally drawn like last week, you know. So yeah, for sure. Look, Marcus is on your side. Rubén loves the Harrison Ford likenesses. I do. Gaines bought it outright. Yeah, okay. That's exactly it. It was all part of the deal, you know, part and parcel. He kept the art, and that was it, you know. Room prefers color mount. Okay, whatever. You'll never let it go, will you, CJ? All right, guys, let's get into the next piece, and for that we go to Alex Raymond, the amazing Alex Raymond, Rip Kirby, and for those of you who don't know Alex Raymond not only is an incredible artist, But this is a guy who, just so you guys know how incredible he is, aside from the beauty of his work, this is a guy who had not one, not two, but like 3 separate points of his career where he switched up his style, and he was successful with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then,
decades apart, all throughout many decades of work.
And he kept evolving too.
Yeah, and he kept evolving, exactly.
Right through, even through a Kirby. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. So tell us a little bit about this one. An amazing example, of course. Love it. So.
Yeah, the Rip Kirby's are fantastic. It's an adventure, a detective series. Rip Kirby's not in this, but the girls, there's 2 girls that are very important. Honey Dorian, who's the blonde, who's Rip's fiance girlfriend, and Pagan Lee, who's sort of a bad girl turned good or better, but she still has a criminal past. And the Mangler is like one of those perfect villains.
Yeah. And
he's like he's a mobster, but he's very strong. He kills people, and the lines that Raymond creates are fantastic. The hair, the face. If you could see the lips up close and things like that, the detail
in the lips,
the lips and the eyes and things like that. But the Mangler suit here with the stripes, even the gesture with the finger on Pagan's neck.
That's the best part. The hand on her neck, right? You know he's gripping pretty firmly, but not too hard, right? And then that right hand, like, oh my gosh, just so good. And it's so good.
It's interesting you picked this because we just finished talking about the 2 Al.
McMillan
and Williamson, and they of course they're direct descendants of
Al, the other Al, Alex,
the Alex Raymond.
Alex Raymond, yeah. And like Marcus points out, that's another thing about his work that was amazing. The signature is also beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, his signature itself, like, fantastic, you know. Yeah, and Covey says the same thing. Even his signature blows my mind. Yeah, amazing. Jason. Also, his Flash Gordons are absolutely stunning. Yeah.
But quite different in style, right?
Yes. Very different style. Absolutely. And yet still beautiful. That's what I'm saying, right?
And different techniques. He's like more of a dry brush now. He's using
Constantly, like you say, constantly evolving the style, right? The approach. Damn, she is hot. Yeah, absolutely, Corey. So much in this piece. Yeah, absolutely. Raymond, part of the Mount Rushmore of strip art.
Yes.
Yeah. Cartoon illustrators, really, you know. So nice. Betty Page-esque lady. Rubén the Gripper. CJ Design. Who else is on the Mount Rushmore? Look at that. You guys can argue amongst yourselves because we're not going to get into that. The patterns and textures and the fabrics is gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just amazing. Yeah, everything. Yeah, a true illustrator, right? That's why he really. I agree with him. By the way, he is. I have never given it any thought because I don't like to choose favorites. But if I had to at least choose one out of the 4, I mean, Alex Raymond, boom, he's up there, right? You pick him right away, and then you start thinking, okay, now we got to be more careful because there's only 3 spots left, right? So
you can do the next 2 super easy, I think. It'd be
you probably can. I know what you're going to say.
It'd be Foster and Caniff, I think.
Yeah, I know you're going to say that.
And then. But then there's others, but
it just depends. And also it depends.
I guess if you're looking at adventure strips, if you're looking,
Yes, exactly. It also depends. Are you talking strips only or strips and comic books? Because then it becomes much harder, right? Because if you have to include the comic strip and comic book industries, I know you're going to say for you it's not hard. You're going to just pick a strip, guys. I get it. But if we got to try to be more objective, you would have to kind of think more, right? Like.
Jack Kirby did do some strip art.
Just for that reason. Forget that. Okay, let's move on. We'll get a couple of last comments. Of course. Hal Foster. Certainly in the conversation, of course. Yeah. And Raymond is in the Pantheon with Al Williamson. And Liefeld. There you go. Right. Yeah. Nothing wrong with Rob. We love Rob. Mark. Dave Sim is the last publishing artist of this style. Well, he wasn't really doing the style, except he was emulating the style, right? He's trying to emulate that because Cacerebus is not really that style, right?
And we talked about that Strange Death of Alex Raymond book, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff, and we're not 100% sure if it's Carson that was doing most of the art, if it's all Dave, or how that plays out, because the pages I've seen posted on Comic Art Fans from that book suggest it was Carson doing the artwork. But,
who knows?
But anyways, but it's beautiful. CJ
says quickly: Caniff, Williamson, Herriman, Toth, Foster. So he's naming. See, that's more than you can fit on Mount Rushmore. But that's the problem. There's so many good ones. Right? Imagine having to narrow it to the 4. Well, you know, who do you?
My 4th would be Frank King. That would have been an easy one.
Okay.
But it's
they wouldn't agree. You know that, right?
Yeah.
But for obvious reasons, we get it. But so that's it. Yeah, very difficult. That's why it's not even worth arguing these types of debates. You know, debating Mount Rushmore spots is like talking about movies. Level of sidetracking, no going back. Yeah, man, you can't do it. It's too hard. Onward, yes, sir. So let us get into the next one. So. One last look at that beautiful Alex Raymond, because we're going to go directly from here to here. Check it out. Rip Kirby again. Another fantabulous, I made that up. Yes, I did. Example from 1954 by Alex Raymond, man. And yeah, man, I don't know. Tell us about this.
This takes place and it's all smoke around them because the cabin that she was in was burnt down in an attempt to kill her. But the way he uses shadows, the line work he's doing, this classic illustration stuff from way before Franklin Booth. He's channeling just about everybody here, and it's engravers techniques from back in that era as well too. The way the lighting just, I think with the exception of maybe his suit in the last panel, there's probably no other real. No, actually, that's not true. I'll leave that comment alone. But no, just the way things are shading, the textures, he uses textures to make backgrounds and stuff. Yeah. The trees aren't drawn in shapes like that. They're just the way that. Yeah, and it's all kind of like a lot of it is a series of different techniques of cross hatching, right? And that also is how he uses different techniques in cross hatching to create the shadows, right? Because if you're looking, for example, if you focus on the 3rd panel on Rip's face, right under the jawline here, right, you see the shadow here. It's darker than it is up here. But when you really close in, the difference is simply that the lines in that area, he chooses precisely where to thicken the line a little bit more, you know, or tighten the space between the lines, you know, or change in some cases the direction of the crosshatch, you know. It's like amazing. It's just absolutely stunning. And if you look at it, if you really examine it carefully, there's different levels of shading, even like the neck here to here to the, you know, forehead up here. Like, yeah, it's just amazing. And of course, the way the smoky, you know, background here versus this technique here, and then the much thicker lines here. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. There's one particular week in the Rip Kirby run where it was all this kind of smoky stuff, and for a full week. Yeah, and for a lot of people, that's considered the high point. The high point in the Rip Kirby run, but yeah, so much work in those panels. Yeah, great work. 70 years old, exactly. Imagine. Did Wrightson study these for Frankenstein? Well, no. Well, Wrightson was a big fan of Franklin Booth. Yeah. So if you look up Franklin Booth Covey, you'll start to see his illustrations. You'll be like, oh, wow. And this is what Booth did with the backgrounds, right? Like with the way he changed. Yeah. So the same kind of stuff that's in the background here, changing the direction of the line to create the line direction. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The clouds for sky, for trees. He did that kind of stuff. Exactly. It's Rick's favorite so far. Nice. Yeah. Booth is a great example. Yeah. And I should say, though, just for all of you Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein fans, he also used, I mean, of course, he used a lot of photo reference for Frankenstein on the buildings and such. And he also sometimes would use, like, if he saw an illustration, an old illustration that used photo reference, right? It was based on a photograph. He would then reference that illustration. But he would always try to draw it from a slightly different perspective, even though it looked almost the same. So it still was a lot of work for him because when you have to change the perspective that the shot is taken in, you're redrawing from scratch. You can't just like light box the thing. So amazing stuff. But yeah, Covey, check out Franklin Booth, and you'll start to see where Bernie got the idea for the techniques that he used on Frankenstein. Yeah, and the same thing, Alex Raymond would have been borrowing from Booth in this as well too. Yeah. So it would have had a similar. Exactly. It's all like a chain of command. A point of reference. Yeah.
Yeah, line density, yeah, precisely. Almost seems too detailed to reproduce on newsprint. Well, yeah, well, you're absolutely right, Lee. That's why if you look at the printed versions of this, they will never look anywhere as good as what you see on the originals. Yeah.
So that was one of the things with Alex Raymond. Back when he was doing Flash Gordon.
Hey, Alex.
People used to see the originals, like the other artists, and say, "Why are you putting that much work? It'll never reproduce."
Yeah.
But for Raymond, it was always about the work.
Yes.
Like he understood how it'd be reproduced, but for him, it was more important to hone his craft, to become like to do the work perfectly.
Do the best work he can,
even if it couldn't be reproduced properly, and that was always part of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, CJ, Frank Cho got his ballpoint cross-hatching style from Serpieri in Italy. That's where he got it from. That's precisely. Look up Paolo Eleuteri Serpieri. Look up Druna if you want. Druna, D-R-U, is it W? U-U-N-A. Yeah, that stuff, right? That's where he made his technique famous. That's the stuff that Cho was. And he came when Serpieri was in Montreal that year that you came to visit at the convention.
Frank Cho was there.
Frank Cho went there only because he knew Serpieri was going to be there. Yeah. That's why he went there. Yeah.
I think at Lake Como 2 years ago, I think, if I'm remembering right, Frank actually inked a pencil by Serpieri, or the way around, one of the two. But they did a combined drawing together. It was
Adam. So this style of hatchwork goes back to the old lithographs days. Yeah. Sure, but like we said, we're going back to Franklin Booth because that was the immediate influence on Bernie. But of course, each successive artist that you go back to also was influenced, like we were talking earlier, by somebody else who became before them, right? So you can always trace it back. Nobody is truly and absolutely original, no matter how, and maybe you look like it's original to you because you've never seen something that quite looks like that. But there's always somebody that they were influenced by that drew in a similar style. So, and you're very welcome, man. No, it's good. It's all about dropping knowledge and learning a bit here. That's what makes it fun, Show us Jeff's Juna art. Well, we don't have time for that. This is a strip art show.
That's right. Exactly. That's why Juna did a joke about that. The stripping in Juna.
Yes. Thanks. Oh, you're very welcome, CJ. Corey, that's right. Juna. Okay, so. Oh, Adam says, that unbroken chain of artists influencing artists through time. Exactly. Okay.
And
let's get this off and say what you got to say. Yeah.
And you'll notice that's right here.
There you go, everybody. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but right there. So that's really cool. All right. So we go to the next piece, and for that we go to this one. Oh, sorry. This one. Blondie.
Oh, yeah.
I figured I'd go from the ultra detail, right? The ultra super fine line work to one of the sort of opposite technique artists of these sort of more simpler, yet still difficult. It's this kind of cartoony approach. A lot of people think it's simpler, but it's not as simple as it looks, Yeah. But I love Blondie, I grew up with it. I'm sure you did too, right?
Yeah.
So,
And for a lot of you that just grew up with Blondie in the newspaper, Blondie's a very domestic comic strip. It's at home. It's about eating sandwiches, the dog, the mailman, being late for work, a boss at work. But Blondie didn't start out that way.
Yeah.
When Chic Young started this strip, he'd actually done a strip prior to this called Dumb Dora, in addition to some other things. And he had a flapper girl, and then Blondie actually started as a flapper girl.
Yeah, 1930, by the way, everybody. So this is a pretty early strip. Yeah, the series started in 1930.
Maybe it's 30. Okay.
Yeah, it's 30. Okay. Yeah, it's the year after the Great Depression started. Okay. So after the market crash.
Yeah, because they had some time. Because at that time, Blondie was the heir to a $1 billion railway empire at the time,
right.
And his family didn't approve of. Oh, so Dagwood, sorry.
Dagwood,
And it didn't approve of Blondie, who's this very ditzy at
the time and stuff. Ditzy flapper girl type.
And that's where a lot of the humor came, but she was drawn fantastically. And over time, they tried to get rid of Blondie multiple times. There was like a hunger strike that Dagwood did to try and get married. And in the end, the family disowned him, and that's why Blondie going forward isn't very wealthy. And he's got this domestic life.
That's why they're kind of poor in a sense, very
lower middle class, or whatever you want to call it, like an average family.
Yeah, that's right. It's just, but they're not billionaires like they would have been. But.
Yeah. Fab Five Freddy. All right, Marcus, calm down. Good night, all right, have a good night. Thanks for dropping in, Corey. Appreciate it. So very fun. I've only got one Blondie myself, and I bought it because, of course, 30 years, well, now 30 years, at the time, maybe 20, whatever it was, but very much interested in the stock market. And my daily had one panel where Blondie is together with Dagwood's father, the rich multi-millionaire. And in one of the panels, they drew, Chic Young drew one of the old ticker tape machines. Yeah, that's awesome. So I love that, so really a lot of fun and very interesting. I've never read these early ones, so I don't know how they read. I've read a few just through the original art because they look kind of interesting or whatever. I never really read like reprints or whatever. Have you at all? I've
got them. I've read enough of them over the time.
Okay.
They're super fun. They're all.
Oh, really? Even at this early stage?
They're like, I think I prefer them to the
ones.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think this early stuff was super fun.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, because most people, of course, everybody alive today never knew. Even I had to get into the original strip art hobby, and you start doing research and stuff.
Right.
That's how I found out that at one point, this whole thing with Dagwood, the poor slob we think of as Dagwood, right, hating his boss and going into work with his lunch pail, used to be the heir to this multi-million-dollar fortune, and
it was disowned because
disowned by his parents, because they wanted to marry the poor girl that they thought might want to just take him for his money, kind of thing, you don't know until you started researching and say, wow, that's so cool. So it is kind of a more interesting backdrop than
and
what we read as kids, right?
And it's interesting how the strip also evolved, because obviously Chic Young didn't have that plan when he started the strip.
Right.
He started his flapper strip, and then things changed. It's like very much like Frank King and Gasoline Alley. And we might get to that one eventually, I'm assuming. But
relax, man. Relax. I know what I'm doing here. Okay, but anyways, fun stuff. And so that was, and I can't see, sorry guys, when you see me sometimes reposting the same piece, it's because my thumbnails for these strips, tonight there's a little bit of technical issues and I cannot see the thumbnails, so I'm kind of working blind. So I think that was number 10. Let me just check quickly, everyone. Yes, it was. Okay, let us go to the 11th piece tonight.
Oh, here we go, Carol.
Here we go, everybody.
Carol Day and David Wright, and it was probably at least 10 years into the hobby before I realized, like most people, because it's a British strip that, as far as I know, was not printed in North America.
That's right.
And the originals were pretty much held in one place, so there not a lot of originals got out there. So no one really saw this stuff.
Yeah.
And to the credit of a few people that brought it over early on.
We can say who if you want.
It's like, I think Thomas Ward, might have been the first, and then Doug Beekman, and then Roger Clark. And Roger Clark really was the one that got most of it and brought it over and started showing it, and then starting to let other fans own this stuff. And,
though, in fairness, I want to give a shout out. How I found out about it first was I was reading one of those Tomorrow's magazines, maybe not Comic Book Artist, but one of those that they published in the sort of mid 2000s, later 2000s, and there was an issue where David Roach, who those of you might remember, he's from Wales, and he's an artist who worked in the UK comics, but then in the I want to say either late 80s or early 90s, he began working. He broke in at DC, inking Jim Aparo and some other artists. And today you should check him out on Facebook, because he is better than ever. Like, some of the illustrations he does, like mind-blowing stuff. Actually, go to Brian Peck's gallery and look up Brian Peck's Doctor Who pieces by David Roach, R-O-A-C-H. Just outstanding stuff. It'll blow your minds, guys. Check it out. That's how I found out about Carol Day, because he wrote that article in that magazine, right?
He's an expert on illustration art.
Yes.
Not just British, but also British art as well, too.
Yeah.
And he's written actually quite a few books on other artists as well. Like
Oh, yeah. He writes a lot of books on a lot of the art of
Jose, or not Jose Ortiz, sorry, Jose Gonzalez, you know, and he did the book on the Spanish comic art masters, or what, I don't. Sorry, David, I don't know what, you know. Get the title, exact title out of my mouth, but
he did one on British artists
and one on British artists as well.
So very, very knowledgeable in addition to being a great artist. And I did meet him at one of the conventions in the UK. Fantastic, nice guy too.
Yeah, absolutely. The right stuff for sure. Yeah, gorgeous. Look at that. Good Lord. That's what we all thought when we first discovered it. We were like, "Oh my God!"
I think he was doing 6 a week like this.
Yeah, that's right.
Without assistance.
That's right.
And if you see these things in person, they're flawless. There's no whiteout. He got it right.
Yeah.
All the time, every time.
Yeah.
And even his weakest examples are brilliant.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can tell there's a difference between the best and the weakest examples. It's quite a big difference. But I've always said, if his best examples had never even existed, right? Or nobody ever saw them, and you only showed people the weaker examples, people would be blown away. Like, oh wow, what's this? Right? We'd be still acting the same way. That's how good he was. Amazing. Yeah, amazing. And so since we've got this, and I'm sorry guys, let me know as always if we're breaking up. I'm getting a signal that we got a bit of a weak signal. So if we break up, please let us know. But yeah, since we got this one up here, I wanted to do this. Check this one out, guys. This is Carol Day number 60, so very early in the run. And we got to show this one.
Yes.
Because this finishes off the beautiful scene. I mean, this is just, amazing.
It's,
That's
all you, this is it.
Yeah. It leaves you speechless, you know?
And beautiful image, but even just the design, he's put some leaves in front to add some foreground. It's just,
I love that.
And again, the same kind of etching technique that you would have seen.
Yeah, with the old illustrators.
Yeah, with the Kirby we were talking so much about and things like that. So.
Yeah, it's just exactly. Oh, sorry, Jason. Are you leaving us? Oh, okay. No worries, man. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it. Have a good week.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Just more greatness, right? Yeah. And this exactly. Absolutely.
And of course, I'm sure most of you are probably aware that Chris Roger and Guy Mills did they formed a publishing company to publish the Carol Days as like an original art kind of version of it.
Like an artist edition type thing.
They did a fantastic book. It was actually nominated for an Eisner this year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's an amazing accomplishment.
And a great way to see this stuff.
Yeah. Very, very beautiful. And actually, they're publishing it in what they do is it's like an artist edition, and they published it one storyline at a time. So, typically in newspaper strips, ongoing stories, they lasted 2.5 to 3 months. I'm not sure if Carol Day that's the same thing. I think around the same sort of length of time as American strips. The same, roughly the same amount. But anyways, he's just been those guys have been publishing in terms of just one storyline at a time, and beautiful stuff. So check it out. Go to is it carol-day.com? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay, but go you guys, if you want to see what this book may look like, just do a Google search for Carol Day, or just do carolday.com. Yeah, the right URL will eventually come up for you. So check that out. And if you love it, man, if you love this, you will love to get your hands on a copy of that. So, and Kavi was seeing Marilyn Monroe here. It's interesting. Sorry for getting that off. Every kiss begins with day. Nice. Those big leaves. Yeah, the leaves. That's what makes it so amazing on this piece, Yeah. Fantastic. Excellent. The mistletoe, exactly. Hey, Pat. Oh my God. You're always blowing my mind, Pat Bear. Pat Bear is in the UK.
Okay.
So it's literally 4 in the morning, I think. 5 hours. So like 3 in the morning for him right there. You're awesome, Pat Bear. David Roach recently did a display of his personal collection of British comic and strip art at a convention in Bristol. Wow. Hey, thanks for letting us know. He's got an amazing collection of art in general. I know that.
Did he have a Judy by
yeah.
David Wright?
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows if there's actually any in existence, but
Yeah.
It's a precursor to Carol Day. It looks very similar in style.
Yeah.
Same artist. But,
yeah. I guess we can always ask David. You know, he would tell you, you know. So, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Thanks for letting us know, Pat Bear. That's awesome. And thanks for coming by again. Shit, I can't believe how late you stay up just to watch my show. Okay, let us move on, everyone. Next piece on tonight's docket is Frank Godwin doing his most famous strip, Rusty Riley, later example, 1959.
Yeah, no, again, another one of those pure illustrators.
Yeah.
You can see, again, the style that he has.
Yeah.
Although some Franklin Booth in there, probably more influenced by Flag.
Yes, I would say.
Yeah, James Montgomery Flag.
Montgomery Flag, yeah.
Yeah. But fantastic lighting, and it sounds like a pretty mundane strip. It's about this orphan boy who works as like a jockey and a stable hand at a horse ranch in Kentucky. But they have adventures kind of in the vein of like the Hardy Boys to some extent. There's criminals, there's haunted castles, but the art's fantastic. The story is actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I love that he's doing the Shakespearean.
It's with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alas, poor Yorick. Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, and Godwin was a fantastic illustrator. He did it. We were talking about it earlier today, but he did a comic strip before this called Connie for a number of years as well too, which was sort of a science fiction strip for at least part of the run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And very progressive at the time, and.
Yeah, and Marcus is right. Of course, everybody knows. I mean, it's about basically, if you wanted to really drop what this strip was about, it's about a boy who loves horses and his love for horses, right? And then you can just say that, and you know, but yeah, brilliant horses. One of the most incredible artists at drawing horses, right? Illustrating horses, Frank Godwin. So, if you love horses and you know, illustrated horses, man, yeah, you should be collecting Rusty Riley strips.
And I remember hearing some stories about how detailed he was with not just the horses, but also the Kentucky landscape and things like that. Because apparently different parts of the country, even the horse ranchers look different. Yeah. And he went and did photo references and all kinds of things. And he'd get comments from people saying, you know, that the fence posts don't look like Kentucky. Yeah. And so you go back and actually fix those things to make
to make it more accurate.
Yeah. And so he was a perfectionist.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
One of the sad things about him is too, a lot of his old art doesn't exist because, as I mentioned, he lived in Havana, right? Right. Oh yeah, that's right. He was in Cuba. And then when Fidel Castro took over and all that, he fled. Right. And so a lot of the stuff that he was doing prior to all that was probably gone. Right. Yeah. And so what a shame. There's a couple of Connies, some of the illustration stuff. So although a lot of the Rusty Riley stuff's out there, the earlier stuff's gone. Right. Yeah. A lot of shameful stories like that, though, right? In about illustration originals by many artists, right? And so when I went to Havana a couple of years ago, I asked around. Did you? You just never know. Yeah.
You by any chance have ever heard of Frank Godwin? Okay.
Hope springs eternal. Right?
Yeah, for sure. As a collector, who's still on the hunt.
Yeah. I've had some lucky stories.
Yeah.
Some lucky breaks.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Everyone, let us look at the 14th piece in tonight's show and tell. Let's see here. There we go. That's the one that you were looking for. Everybody, I think I gather to say this may be the favorite piece of Jeff's collection. Not all that.
Certainly one of my.
One of your favorites. Yeah.
And it's those first two panels.
Yeah.
They're absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Remember, this is 1925.
Yeah. No, it's mind blowing. 99 years ago. Yeah. Imagine. Wow.
Yeah, and just look at the way those.
Wow.
Yeah. So, as much as I love Caniff, he's probably my favorite artist. I'd make the argument Frank King was the greatest artist that has worked in comics.
The greatest artist that has worked in comics.
Yeah.
Wow.
He could do anything. He chose these larger characters, kind of this Bigfoot style and things like that. But I think he could have done anything. I think, and he just and then of course the story he told. I think it's the great American novel. It's been told in comics. He tells the story of America as the characters age and grow, and he's followed them right through. So
yeah, and I just want to tell
they've gone through war, they've gone through the Depression, they've gone through multiple.
Yeah, I want to say that to the viewers that for everybody listening, the really cool thing about this strip, and I've never read it, and I hope to read it someday, is that Frank King actually aged the characters along with in real time. Is that how the best way to say it?
Yeah.
In real time, guys. So if 5 years went by in our reality, the characters were 5 years older at
that's
point.
right. Yeah, you know, like some of the characters have celebrated their 100th birthday now, because they were older when they started. And one of the interesting things, Gasoline Alley refers to how the strip started. It was like an automobile club, basically. A bunch of guys in I think about 1917, 1918. They're just hanging out in the alley, and they talked about their cars, and the jokes were all based on cars and stuff like that. And then on Valentine's Day of 1921, a baby was left on Walt's doorstep, Skeezix, and they had actually a contest on naming the baby and stuff like that. Right. And then that's when the strip really took off, and it became
right. Yeah. Good night, honey. Thank you for dropping in.
Yeah. Good night, Vivian.
And Adam, he's claiming the obvious. Obviously, he's saying, "I love the sun through the leaves silhouette." Well, yeah, that's
exactly.
That's what we're. That's what makes this really.
There's a theme here.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, but
yeah. It's but that technique is just mind blowing, right?
Yeah. So the negative space thing you're talking about. Yeah. So the silhouette, sometimes that's just a lazy thing people do.
Right. Or. Not always. Either lazy or for speed reasons, because deadline, helping you make it a deadline.
But with King, I think there's actually sometimes more in his silhouettes than in a fully rendered thing, because he captures gesture and posture and things just so well. There's so much expression in those silhouettes that he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Negative space masterpiece, as Rick, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Skeezix for president. And good night, Vivian. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, amazing example. Yeah. And
Vivian's had a great week, but Rubén wasn't around.
Well, certainly had a great few days. Let's say that. I'm not hassling my wife, I just want to put this back up just to say hi. What's up, Ian? Southern Cali boy. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in, even though it's a couple of hours into the show, man. Appreciate you making the time. And truly amazing. And like I said, the idea of aging the characters in real time really excites me, and that's why I've always wanted to eventually get to it, and I want to read it, because it's just a dimension about the strip that I just feel makes it, I don't know, I think you could relate to it more, because the characters really truly age with them. You really do age with them.
You identify with them in some way, like either it's like your father or it's like a brother or something. And as they get older, you're getting older. You can appreciate that.
Because the experiences in life that we go through, they're being shown in the strip as well, right?
And this wasn't like a super high adventure strip. Like they never had like big adventures, murders, things like that. They traveled, they did stories, imagination things, but it was just a great story.
Amazing.
And it lasted, I think it might still be ongoing. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I know it went for a long time. Okay. It may still be going. I'm not sure either, but yeah. I mean, mind you, in today's day and age of newspapers,
it'll be digitally produced and things.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's
exactly. But excellent. Okay, let us go from there, everybody, to the next piece. And was this the one that we had? Yeah, one last look, everybody. And let's, I don't want to cheat Frank King here, because those first two panels are so phenomenal. I gotta say, if we hadn't seen those, we'd still be pretty mind blown by how he did the backlit shot of the on the last panel, and how he did the reflection on the water, because it's very simplistic, but it's fantastic. You immediately can tell what it is. I mean, that last panel is also fantastic. So I just want to give credit where it's due, and mention that as well. So. Okay, so from there, why don't we go on to the next piece, the next surprise in your collection, and that is going to be George Herriman. Oh, surprise!
So you managed to squeeze like a crazy cat.
I did.
Yeah. So this strip had like 3 titles: The Family Upstairs, The Dingbat Family, and there was one other.
Dingbat Family is the same strip, just with a changed name?
They changed the name several times during the time. And so this is where Krazy Kat actually first started.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
So in addition to having the strip above, they used to have these little bottom ones. And that's the first appearance of Krazy Kat. This is still fairly early, and this is where the brick gag started as well too, the throwing of the brick. And
right.
So really, really, really fun pieces. You see the classic stuff you would see in Krazy Kat later, like the moon in the background, and that last panel. That building looks very much like the jail in Krazy Kat, and one of the interesting things about this one that makes it slightly more unique is that actually Krazy Kat appears in the top panel as well. He looks like one of the cats carrying the
That's
mice.
right.
Yeah. No, but,
yeah, that's amazing. So I got to know, and I don't know if you know, but you probably have a better idea than anybody else here tonight. Family Upstairs original strips with the bottom tier featuring Krazy Kat and Ignatz. Have you seen more than just the one you own? I mean,
there's lots of them.
There's lots. Okay.
I think at some point, probably after 19, I think they almost always had them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they continued after that.
Oh, interesting. And
I have two like this with
oh, okay.
But, yeah.
Okay. And on average, strips like this that have the bottom tier with them, are they affordable, or are they still kind of expensive? Like for the average person, like what would you say?
They are more affordable. But they are getting close to like that 10,000 plus or minus 2,000
no kidding.
Kind of range. Yeah.
Oh, on average.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
so you could probably
that's not what I would call affordable for the average person. You know?
You could probably get a Krazy Kat daily for less.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So sometimes they're cheaper now because there's been a few more recently, but I think often they can be in that range. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, CJ, let us know that it's still going.
Yeah, still going. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Longest running strip. Yeah, I guess so.
So Skizix is like 102 now, I guess, or so 103.
Yeah. So he's like an old man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Walt must have passed away already then.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, no, this is fantastic. I love this. I love to see this. All right. Very happy to see that and share that with you guys. All right, let's go to the next piece. The next piece is this one. Oh, I had to have my man Jigs in here.
Of course, I love McManus.
Yeah,
you know, I do. This.
Yeah.
And so he started super. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'm gonna say roughly 1905, 1906, I believe, is when he started. He had strips before he did Bringing Up Father.
Right.
I think Bringing Up Father started in 1915, and then the Sunday started in 1918. Oh. I only know that because I recently got a 1920 Sunday. It's in my Comic Art Fans Gallery, which is beautiful. But what I really love about this strip, actually a lot of things, but the characters are fantastic. Maggie and Jigs, and then the basic storyline is they were poor working class people, and then they came into wealth.
Poor working class Irish immigrants.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they came into money, and Jigs still likes to go back and eat cabbage with his friends and drink and do things like that. He doesn't like the rich lifestyle.
Right.
And where Maggie is always a social climber and always disappointed him, and that's part of. Well, interesting, when you look at a lot of the strip arts from this era, the jokes don't always make quite as much sense.
Right.
But
well, because it was a different time and they used different expressions, right? And we don't use anymore.
But for some reason, Bringing Up Father, the jokes still hold up. They're still usually quite funny.
Yeah.
A lot of Art Deco design that you'll see.
Yeah.
In the backgrounds, the shapes and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love that first panel. Yeah. You know.
One of the fun things they did in the strip. This one doesn't show it, but there's often there'll be in the background picture frames, and in the picture frames, people are the characters are coming out of the frames doing things that mimic what's going on in the frame.
Right.
The way they did cats and dogs were. There's so much to like about the strip, and I think I mentioned earlier that the strip influenced Hergé and many other people. The character Jigs was very animated. Like when he's surprised and scared, he jumps, he moves. It's
and the way it's drawn. There's a lot of movement.
It's very humorous
in the style. Yeah.
McManus could draw like 100 people in a crowd and draw them all completely different. Like he had so many different facial structures and body types and things. He was one of my favorites. Yeah,
really, really great. All right.
That particular one you showed was probably half done by a guy named Zeke Zeekley.
Zeke Zeekley, his assistant of many years.
At that time, but yeah.
But that's okay. Yeah. All right. Let us move on. But before we do that, just in case these are related to that strip. Oh, they are. Kavi says, great lettering too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did that artist usually do the lettering?
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
I would assume.
I think so, but I've never.
May have an assistant, but I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not sure, Kavi. We think so, but we're not sure. We can't definitely cop to that with certainty, absolute certainty. So,
Okay. Yes. So that's 17. Okay. Let us go to the next one. And that is this one.
Oh, so one of the British strips.
One of the British strips, I figured. And I honestly, I did it more so because there's a lot of James Bond fans out there.
Yeah,
and I thought, okay, they may not know that there was once a newspaper strip about James Bond, you know? So
yeah, in the UK, it ran for a number of years. And fantastic strip. McLusky, I don't know what else he did.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's famous for.
Yeah.
You know,
and
so.
Yeah, but he did hundreds of, but he was not the only one that did the James Bond strip. There were a few other artists that did the James Bond strip.
Were there?
Yeah.
Were there? Because the thing about this is that I remember seeing a series of British books that reprinted the James Bond strips, and all the ones that I saw, at least 3, I want to say, and they were McLusky's. And oh yeah, let's get this off here. I want you guys to see us so you can see what Jeff's currently doing. He's picked up the magic book that we showed you at the top of the. No, you're not. It's another reference book.
It's a new magic book.
Yeah, new magic book. The British newspaper strips. There you go. More reference material, but it helps. Yeah, it helps look things up. So
just to see if it's actually in here.
And this is what this book shows is all the British or tons of British newspaper strips listed in alphabetical order. And then it tells you about the strip, as much information as they may know about it, whether the artist or from what years it ran, and so on and so forth.
Maybe I'm mistaken. It mentions McLusky and then also Jaroslav Horak.
Yeah,
which I don't know.
Jaroslav Horak.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard of the name, but I don't know what he did. But I would not have associated him with this. So I'm going to say he probably maybe he assisted.
I don't know, because I for some reason I remember when I was looking this stuff up, because when I got this strip, I got it from McLusky's son, I believe.
Okay.
And he had a bunch of these, and when I was trying to find some reference images, because he didn't have images of the strips, you kind of had to find your own images and say, do you have this daily? Do you have this daily?
Right.
So in looking for that reference material, and I was looking at the James Bond stuff, I think there was some other artists involved, if I'm not.
Okay.
And that's how I knew that otherwise.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, it's fair enough to say most of them were probably drawn by John McLusky.
And there was nudity in this as well too.
Even on the James Bond.
Yeah,
interesting.
James Bond actually has some of it on there.
Okay.
Well, and people don't know, but the British newspapers actually had nudity in some of their comic strips.
Yeah, some people don't know that.
As did the French.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but just generally speaking, in the United Kingdom, they've always been far more liberal about nudity than here on this part of on this continent. Always. So even in newspapers and newspaper strips, they would sometimes show nudity. So not full nude, but bare tops or whatever. Topless. Mark says that the Titans reprints of 007 is an affordable way to enjoy the art and in original adaptations of the novels.
This one up there.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for dropping that knowledge for the people that don't know and may be James Bond fans, Mark. And good night, Dan. Thanks for dropping in.
Okay.
Appreciate it. And titillating, exactly.
Yes.
Very much so. Okay. All right. So from there, let us go to the next one. And for that, we go to here. My favorite. Well, okay, no, it's not my. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, one of my favorites. I love the westerns. I love José Luis Salinas. Yeah, man, it's one of the top 2 strips that I collected for a long time. And
I thought the other Rubén collected Cisco.
Yeah. There was another guy at one point that yeah. But you've got a couple yourself, so let's talk about you. And this is awesome. So.
Yeah, so South American artist.
Yeah, Argentinian, I believe.
Yeah. And his father was a fantastic artist and did some comic stuff as well back in his time. Yeah, but very, very illustrative, and the detail he put in on that on this shirt. I don't know what you call it.
The flower embroidery pattern, right? It's embroidered, right? Yeah. So that's what I always call it. The embroidery pattern is, for me, it's the thing to look for. When I was collecting, I haven't bought one in years because they got too expensive. But when I was collecting them, that's my main criteria. I had a series of criteria, but that was my main one. I wanted as clear as possible images, beautiful images of the flower embroidery pattern on the shirt. That's how nice it is, Yeah.
I look for the girls.
You look for the girls. I know. If anybody doesn't know, Jeff always looks for the girls first. He wants beautiful women on all his strip art, and that's that. You know. Tom, yeah, I love it. I'm glad you love it. Yeah, it's very awesome. Cisco was a friend of mine. Is that design on the jacket created with white ink, white paint? Yeah, exactly, Lee. Exactly. And so the next question, I'll answer it, would be that yes, he did indeed do this daily, 6 days a week, and every single time in every single panel had to hand draw, or didn't have to, decided to. Yeah, decided to do that by hand. So yeah, mind you, you have to think though. Once he practiced it before the strip actually got started, and he'd be practicing it, he must have gotten to the point where he could do it pretty quickly. You know, like he just dashed it off or whatever. Still takes some amount of time, of course, but it probably doesn't take anywhere near as long as the average viewer thinks it does. You know. Not as titillating as the time traveling Garth. You know Garth, Mark. You know Garth. Yeah. For sure. Rubén would love to own a plethora. But Rick, what is a plethora?
I think you do own a plethora, don't you?
I don't actually. Believe it or not, even though I collected, like the last one I bought, I don't remember what year it was, but I only ended up getting, I never even hit 20 examples.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe I have 18, I want to say. Yeah.
It's almost a plethora then.
It might be almost a plethora. Yeah. Close to a plethora, everybody. Exactly. There you go. Time to prune the hedges. Yeah. I meant the girl's shirt. Yeah. Okay. Pack in heat and style. Yeah, for sure. But actually, I just want to point out too, again, another excellent draftsman. I love the figure of Cisco Kid in the first panel. That right arm, I mean, the entire figure, it's so natural. It's exactly how you would be sort of, you know, when you're down in that position. So naturalistic, no stiffness at all. The right arm, how he holds up his upper body weight with the elbow on the right leg. And then the forearm just hangs like that with the wrist that way. And he still draws in the hand so detailed and beautiful. Fantastic. Love that. I guess that's excellent draftsmanship. I always notice that kind of stuff.
And his horses were fantastic.
Oh,
backgrounds, you know, he was.
Yeah, the horses.
Everything was spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like we were talking about Frank Godwin with Rusty Riley, amazing horse artist, and this guy was another one. Yeah, absolutely stunning stuff. You know. Yeah, the strip is simple yet beautiful. Yeah, and by the way, guys, reprints of this are still ongoing from Classics Comics Press. And I will be honest, they're very simplistic storylines, but still very fun to read. So if you like Westerns, you want to read simple Westerns, very fun to read. So I recommend it. Number 18, rookie numbers. I don't know what you mean by that.
How many strips you have?
Oh, the amount of, yeah, exactly, Marcus. But in fairness, I absolutely could have had like hundreds, but I always wanted to. I made it a point to only go for examples that I personally thought were like top tier examples. In other words, the ones that met the type of criteria that I wanted in the strip, you know. And so it would have been the flower embroidery pattern. Other criteria were, you know, horses as much as possible because they were so beautifully drawn. Unlike you, Jeff, I never cared if there was a woman on the strip, so I was not looking, and I let you have those. But what else would it have been? Oh, Native Americans. Yes. Because interestingly enough, for a strip about, you know, quote unquote cowboys and Indians, right, a Western, you actually rarely saw Native Americans throughout the, you know, like a 22 or some odd year run of the strip. Not, you know, it's a very small minority of examples that actually had Native American characters on them, which is kind of ironic, you know, for a Western. So, but yeah, so I always try to look for the best strips.
Exactly, Rubén only collects the best. Yeah.
I tried what I thought was the best.
But it's not like Rubén's picky or anything.
I'm not.
Or critical.
No. Did the Cisco kid get his shirts washed at the Chinese laundry at the nearest town? I don't know. Maybe he was washing them in Singapore, Mark. Help sing it all. Oh boy. All the laundry, right? Yeah. That's hilarious. Ancient Chinese secret. Nice. Okay, you guys are getting racist now. All right. No, that's a beautiful strip. Let us keep it going here, everyone, and go to the next one. Check this one out. Another one. I had to show two. Yeah. And especially this one because of the fact that there's a little story behind this, and I don't know if you remember it, but you took me to this strip because you knew I wanted to collect them. Well, do you remember?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. So just so you guys, just so you can see us for the quick anecdote, everybody. So that strip, and I'll put it back up in a moment. So I didn't know that Jeff had gone to the Chicago show, the Chicago Con in 2012, but we both went and we both saw each other there. And then at one point you came to me and you were like, oh, thanks. We were talking about stuff and strips and whatever. And you were like, oh, I think Albert has, I think I saw Albert had a Cisco strip. I was like, really? Because I had been at Albert's already and I didn't see it. And you were like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw one. And I'm like, can you take me and show me? Okay. So Jeff leads me to Albert's and he's like, oh, there it is. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, if I remember correctly, it was $750 at the time. And at that time I had only spent never more than I think 500 on a daily. That was kind of like top, And so of course, Albert, I'm like, oh, Albert, typical, whatever, higher than everybody else, but it's a great looking strip, but should I get it? And as I say that, as I'm thinking about it, you look at me and you go, I think I want it. That's what you said. Okay. And I'm like, you don't remember that at all? Oh my God. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, do you want it? I'm like, well, I was thinking about it. Like, and then you're like, oh, I'm like, you want it? And like, you're like, yeah, I kind of like it. I'm like, okay, well, I wouldn't have known it was there without you. And that's why I said, okay, for sure, obviously, So yeah, no problem. Then you bought it and that was it. Yeah. I can't believe you don't remember that. Wow. No. That's a funny little anecdote, anyways, but yeah, it's kind of cool. So you got a nice, great strip.
And Albert wins.
And Albert wins in the end. Yeah, as always. But yeah, let me get that back up there. Oh, sorry, this one here. And yeah, tell me what you like about this more than anything, other than the girl.
Yeah, Poncho? No.
Yeah, Poncho. That's what I was looking at. Yeah, I wanted to get Poncho, but obviously the girl.
Obviously. Yeah, obviously the girl. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. That last panel too. I like this perspective.
Yeah.
The Western town and
Yeah.
He did so many things right.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny, because you like the girl, but again, in Western strips, because of the fact that they wore clothes that didn't really show the whole figure, right? They didn't show the shapely figure other than maybe the top part, right? And it's funny because ironically, I do love illustration that features beautiful clothing on women with fashionable clothing. It's just that in this time period of history, these big hoop skirts and whatnot, I just was never really attracted to them. And so that's why on Westerns, I don't really care if a woman is on a strip. I won't buy it for that reason,
For me, actually, although this is a good example of this, one of the things I discovered as I was thinking about why I buy strips, because I spent a lot of time thinking about what I like about art. And one of the things I really like is actually a portrait.
Okay.
So me getting a large portrait, in particular portrait of a woman, but a portrait actually makes a big difference.
Yeah, Marcus, I don't have the blouse. I will say though that even though, and Tom will appreciate this, even though I've never been a prop collector and have no desire to collect props, wow, depending on how much it would cost, I would love if one of Duncan Ronaldo, who was the actor of the, I don't know, for those of you who don't know, in the 1950s when this strip started, at the same time, there was a Cisco Kid television show. And Duncan Ronaldo was the actor, and it's really a fun show. Again, just like the strip, very simplistic stories every episode, but a lot of fun. And if an original shirt were to appear at auction, again, depending on how much it would cost, I would want to go for it.
I don't remember the TV show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta say, unfortunately, for anybody interested in tracking down the television show, I have it on one of those a DVD collection, where they selected the best.
Not Betamax? No.
Not Betamax. No. It was DVD. It was DVD, but unfortunately, it's one of those shows where the film they filmed on was degraded, super degraded, and
because it's an old Western nobody cares about anymore, then nobody's going to put the money into restoring it. And the quality is really rough, like really rough, you know, unfortunately. Like you on every episode, you'll see like, what do you call it, like the static lines going across the screen and stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, you know. But no, yeah, I would love to get the actual shirt from the actor. That'd be really cool. And the hoop dress, right. I mean, it's fun, but I wouldn't buy the strip for that reason. But you know what? The panel in the middle that you love so much because of the girl, I love it for the opposite reason. I love it because I love the whole bow, right, and kissing of the hand or whatever by Cisco. I love that. I love how he's drawn and Pancho, bah. He's like, who cares about the women? Let's get some food, Cisco. Sorry, if that for any of you Spanish speakers out there, if that was racist, I apologize. But that's how he spoke in the TV show. So, yeah, Rubén the Hesitator, sniped.
Yes.
Yeah, he sniped me, man. Well, no, we talked about it. Whatever. I'm, you know, he's a good guy, so of course. And like I said, he saw it first, so for sure. You never remember when you hose your friend. You see, they're coming down on you.
Yeah.
You hosed me.
I did.
That's
a Canadian thing, though.
Yeah. That's it. You're a hoser, exactly. You know, the bonnet giver upper. Yeah. Rubén said, "Bah." Yeah. I was acting like our buddy there. Rubén likes that trunk. Rubén the hoop skirt hater. I didn't say hate. Hate's a strong word. We play on the blouse team with Prince. Mission Cisco kid prop. Yeah, I don't know, man. It would be kind of cool, honestly. If it was really embroidered on the show, yeah. There'd be a few pieces out there. You need to do some research. Thanks, Tom. I know. I did do a quick Google search once. Didn't find anything. Rather have Gene Wilder Frisco kid shirt. I'm sure you would, Rick. Rest in peace to Gene Wilder. Yeah, I like the Frisco kid with Harrison Ford. That was funny. We used to have Cisco Poncho on UHF when I was a kid. Yeah, cool. All right, let us come back to you real quick, and just in time to hit the next piece, and that is this one. Check this one out, guys. We finally get to your favorite strip. Yeah.
And a key strip.
A key, very, very, very key. Everybody listen carefully. Well, you can read what makes it key. Yeah. But yeah, you talk about this because it's really awesome.
This is Terry and the Pirates, and this is when Caniff started Terry and the Pirates. You have to say the first 3 to 6 months of the strip, he was still finding his legs. Right. The story you can get through, but it's not the most interesting. But once he starts going, and Burma is one of those key things that. This is in 1936. The strip really picks up, and so after one of their adventures, they're shipwrecked. They end up on a desert island. They're starving to death, and all of a sudden they hear someone singing through the forest.
Right.
They have no water. They have no food. They don't know what's going to happen, and they're almost thinking they're hallucinating. And then they start to run. And so the strip before shows them running up and then showing up at the window and looking in, and like that lighting in that first panel, but when they look in, they see Burma. And Burma becomes a very important character. And it's interesting that this early on, Caniff knew how important Burma was going to be.
Yeah.
Like she shows up with a bang, and here she is singing St. Louis Blues, I believe is what it was that she sings. And
yeah, but look at Marcus, man. He feels like they're being bad, right? Like he feels like they might as well drill holes in her bedroom walls.
Yes.
You know, the peepers, right? Peeping Toms. But she wasn't naked, so it's not terrible. It's not as terrible as it would be otherwise.
Now you'll see at the top there's a dedication for John. So as I mentioned, Bob Murphy was a friend of mine. He was the largest Caniff collector in the world. When I was looking for some Caniff art, I'd heard there was a local collector nearby that had a lot of Caniff art, but he was one of these secret people that only a few people knew about, almost like an urban legend to some extent.
Right.
And he had a large Caniff collection, and that's all I knew.
Right.
At one of my art gatherings, this is some of the dividends my art gatherings ends up paying, is someone mentioned that, no, this person, his name was John Barnett, and he used to be the former owner of the Dragon Lady, which is a very important comic shop in Toronto. And some of you might, if you remember some of the old reprints of comic strips, Dragon Lady Press was one of the important strip reprinters in the 80s, keeping the strips alive before they got forgotten.
Right.
But I'd heard John only comes to Toronto once a year to this like paper show in the middle of nowhere, and I'd gotten wind that the show was coming up, so I went there to meet him. I took a while to find him at the show because I had asked around, finally got to him, and I go up to him and I introduce myself and I say, I'm interested in like Terry and the Pirate originals. And he looks at me and he looks me up and down. And
down.
And then he goes, they are expensive.
I hate guys like that.
And then I told him, I know I have a couple already. And then he looks at me again and he goes, write down your contact information. And so I wrote down my email and my phone number. And I didn't hear anything. And then about a month later, he calls me up and he offers me a handful of dailies for sale after we get to talking a bit. And I wasn't really interested in any of them, but I mentioned to him there's this one series I'm looking for. My favorite storyline is when the Dragon Lady teaches Terry how to dance for a ball. And I mentioned that. And he mentioned, I've got one of those. And he just puts down his phone, runs and gets me the date. And then comes back to the phone. He goes, it's not for sale, but this is the date I have. And I look it up quickly because I've got the reference material. And I just make one comment. I said, I'll never say this again, but the one time I'm going to say this, if you ever want to sell this strip, I'll make you like a very compelling offer.
Right.
And about 6 weeks later, he calls me back and said, go ahead and make that compelling offer.
Wow.
And I did, and that's how I met John.
Wow.
And John turned out to be probably the second biggest Terry and the Pirates collector in the world.
Well, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
At one point, he had over 300. He'd met Milton Caniff multiple times. And so over the years, I'd been able to pick up a couple of Terry and the Pirates from John, but we had a friendship for probably 10 to 12 years. I used to go visit him in Kitchener, which is about an hour from where I live, on a monthly basis. And so our friendship grew. And unfortunately, John became ill quite suddenly last year and passed away.
Yeah.
And I was able, through the family, to help them with some of the things. And then in the end, most of John's art collection I was able to purchase. So I purchased several hundred pieces of strip art, including many dozen Terry and the Pirates and things like that. And
that's the thing, is that the collection that he had, that you acquired, it's not just even about the sheer volume of pieces, right? But shocking at how many were key pieces,
especially the
like,
Caniff stuff.
This Caniff Burma piece, and it's not just a one strip introduction, if you will.
No, I've got the full week. Yeah,
got the full week, guys, of this Burma introduction. That was the first time she appears, and the rest of the dailies for that week. Missing 1 day.
That's right. Yeah.
1 day missing, but otherwise an almost complete week. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic because Burma's a super interesting character right from the beginning. I have another sequence that's about a month or two later when Pat Ryan and Burma kiss for the first time. Oh yeah. And that's a fantastic sequence, and that's been copied by so many artists over the years, including Frank Frazetta.
Right.
That scene that's on there, and it's these pieces mean a lot to me, but they could come from John's collection. But
That's like an extra thing. They would have meant a lot to you anyways if you had just acquired it on the open market, right? But the story that comes with it, of course, the way you acquired it through a friendship with a guy that you met and became friends with for a couple of decades or whatever, right? It makes a difference, right? So, for sure, very meaningful.
No, and I think with the family too, they're happy that the stuff came to me as well.
Oh, sure.
Because it's well taken care of. And
exactly. They know you how much of an appreciator of it you were, right? And a friend to John, right? So, fantastic. All right. So let me try to remember again, because again, I can't see the thumbnails. Try to see what number I was supposed to be on. I see. Did I show this one yet? Hold on. I believe I showed this one. That's the one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Let us check out now this one. And I believe it's another Terry.
Okay.
But maybe not. Let's see. Yes, of course it is. Yes. And you see why I picked that one. Yeah.
So when I first met John, when I first went to his house to pick up the strip that I'd made the compelling offer on, and so he invited me to his house, and we were almost instant friends, because my other love, in addition to Milton Caniff and Terry and the Pirates, is Court de Maltese by Hugo Pratt. And so we walk into John's house, and he's got framed prints of Court de Maltese on his wall and Terry and the Pirates on his wall.
Right.
He was a bachelor, so he could put whatever he wanted on his wall, and his house looked like my house would look like if I didn't have restrictions on what I could put in the living room, and places like that. And so we were almost instant friends when it came to that. And this was, he said he could let go of the other Dragon Lady piece that he had because he had this thing.
Oh, okay.
And so he had this on his wall, and this is in his kitchen, and those last two panels
Yeah.
This is what Caniff is famous for: the dialogue, the storytelling, the cinematography.
Yeah.
You know, just the detail of the.
I love it. I mean, like, and I gotta say exactly everything you just said, especially because even if that wasn't Dragon Lady, it could have been any one of the other many female characters in the strip. I would still say the same thing. It would still be a primo example. You know, it's just the fact that it's him and the Dragon Lady, right? That's awesome. That's just you know.
Yeah, and nicely it's dedicated to John again. One of the times he met Caniff, and
yeah. It's fantastic.
And I did get this from John before he passed away. We ended up doing a deal on a couple pieces at that time.
Cool.
But,
yeah, cool. Oh, and by the way, FYI, another guy, Rich Cirillo. What's up, Rich? He loves your shirt as well. So yeah, you're very popular. Your shirt's very popular tonight. Maybe you should start selling them or something. You know? Where'd you get it?
One of those print-on-demand kind of T-shirts.
Oh yeah. You do that too. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Through the States, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's more just in The Shining, right? It's kind of the Apollo pattern. It's
right.
It ties into that whole idea that the movie's about something else. Yeah.
Oh, look at you, smart asses. Not you, Kavi. He is definitely a smooth operator. Actually, Marcus had a good comment. No comment.
Well, it's because that's the name of the strip, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the interesting things about the strips at this time too. That they every strip had its own title.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they titled every single daily.
Yeah. And I think I was told that was for copyright reasons to something.
Oh, interesting. That I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a reason for that, and in the IDW reprint they don't actually have that information at the top, but the new Clover ones they've got all the titles.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat because I think the titles are kind of fun.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, beautiful. And of course you have this one on your wall as well, framed.
Yes.
So yeah, how can I choose? Yeah, excellent piece. All right, let us go to the next one, folks. That is a third one. I had to. It's your favorite strip. How could I not go 3 on this one, right? And I chose this one probably for
the patterns.
Well, so that, believe it or not, I know that you love that.
Yeah.
That is a reason, but that's my secondary reason. I love that. I'm in love with that first panel.
The reverse. Yeah.
How they did that first. Oh my! How he did the first panel there. Oh my gosh! I mean, all of it though. Like even the last panel, the lighting. How he uses the ink work to do the lighting. Just exquisite. It's just fantastic. And then after I get over that, I'm like, and oh my God, the dress. You know, that's how I typically react. I'm like the dress, wow, like it's so incredible. And
the storytelling is so cinematography.
Yes,
like you can just see the camera moving as they go around.
Yeah,
and he moves the story along quite a bit in like 4 panels here. They're sitting talking. All of a sudden, they've introduced a new character into the thing. They've got their plan. You know, there's
yeah, and then he's got somebody's outside the window climbing up.
Yeah, he's covering so much ground in like 4 panels here, and plus making it interesting.
Yeah, it's just it's fabulous. Yeah, Dottie. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So even CJ's on my side, right? Love the first panel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, look at that coffee in general. Shadows. Yeah, and of course he's Rick saying what you echoing what you're saying about the storytelling. Yeah, amazing. Are you happy I chose this one?
Yeah, that's
okay. I mean, listen, you've got so many to choose from. It wasn't easy. Like, what am I going to choose, right? I'm like, oh my God, he's got this amazing collection of like Terry and the Pirates. Like, how do I represent his Terry collection just picking 1 or 2 or what, even with 3, it's not enough, right? But I think I chose, pretty cool examples. But there's so many more, right?
And he's playing with the words in the title as well.
Alleged hanging. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, that's a really, really great one. Yeah, very awesome. Yeah, exquisite example for sure. All right. So that is for sure the end of our Terry and the Pirates for tonight, everybody. And FYI, just hang in there. We're almost done. Maybe a handful of pieces left, and we'll let you guys go. So the next piece is this one, Scorchy Smith. And my timing, of course, I was going. I was actually going by a certain order of, I think, the artist name, right? Mm-hmm. But interestingly enough, it comes right after we showed the Terry, simply because he was sort of the forefather of Milton Caniff. You know what I mean? So,
in a sense, like, because I think I clarified that a little bit more, because I always thought that he actually, what he did. So him and Caniff were studio mates.
Right.
Right back. They were both doing. He was doing the Scorchy Smith strip, which he took over from someone else. But Sickles was better at shadows.
Yeah.
And also using a brush and doing some shorthand stuff. So what he could do is he could do strips much faster than Caniff, who was doing lots of line stuff.
Oh, okay.
So Caniff took the shadows and the inking that Sickles was doing.
Okay.
And incorporated it in his work.
Okay.
So it's not like Sickles showed him everything how to do it.
Well, I'm not saying that.
But his influence was more that he taught him how to do things quicker, how to get some of the black stuff done quicker with a brush as opposed to what he was doing.
Sure.
So he showed him technique, and then he took that technique and then he evolved into his own, and then that became the Caniff style.
Yeah.
But you can see very clearly when Sickles' influence happens in Tearing the Pirates, when you're looking through the runs and stuff, you can say almost to the week, I can see Sickles starting to influence, and Sickles probably did a bit of ghosting on some of them as well too.
Okay.
And you can kind of see that, I think.
Okay. Well, just so you know, to be fair, when I say it, it's because when you look at Tearing the Pirates, right? You don't have to sort of do a deep dive or anything, but you look at it for a while on a given day, for the first time. And then if somebody says, also take a look at some strips of Scorchy Smith by Noel Sickles, right? And then you see that they come before Terry. When you look, like, at least me, I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. But for me, when I looked at the Scorchy Smith stuff by Sickles, I look at this and I immediately thought, oh, wow, that must be how the chain of command, so to speak, happened, because I see this and I see a lot of what Caniff did afterwards. There's a lot of similarities. You can't deny that, right?
Yeah, I think there's some synergy going back between them. I think they're learning off of each other.
Right.
Well.
Feeding off.
Because Tearing the Pirates started in 34.
Right.
Right. And I think it's around in 35, mid 35 to late 35, you can really see Sickles' influence. Right.
That's where the crossover is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, but I think they helped each other out, and then.
Okay. Either way, the point being, Sickles was another master, a master illustrator, by the way. He did a lot of his illustration work before comic strips.
And many different techniques throughout his thing, because sometimes they had board like this where there was ink toners, a patone on it. The other ones were just pure ink. And he had like 3 or 4 different styles during his time. So he was experimenting all the time as well with different techniques.
Right. I got to tell you, though, you don't often, or I haven't often seen, I don't think he did these full background wash examples very often, right?
I think for a couple of weeks here this period, but then,
really?
Then he stopped doing it.
And that was it, right? Yeah. Because I don't see them. Yeah, you don't typically see sort of Scorchy Smith, I should say, rather, come out and have a full watercolor looking background that way. Beautiful. Yeah, really, really awesome. And yeah, Rick, tough. She's a tough talker. That one here.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, very, very, very cool piece there. And let us go then to the next one. And that brings us to this. So another one of my favorites, Stan Drake, who came, of course, later.
It's because of the beaver.
But the beaver, yes, that's the beaver
very
strip.
Canadian,
Yeah. It's all about the beaver in panel 2 in the middle. You gotta love beaver. I love beaver. How about you? But yeah, no, I enjoyed this strip. I love Stan Drake. I think he's a brilliant artist. The reading, just for anybody who's interested, it's more of a soap opera, very, very melodramatic. So you may get kind of sick of it if you try reading it, but beautiful, beautiful artwork. And Stan Drake, by the way, one of the main influences on Neil Adams.
They shared studio space together. Right?
Yeah.
And actually one of the main influences on Bill Sienkiewicz's early work.
Sienkiewicz's as well, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about this. How'd you get this one? I know. For me, my favorite period is the earlier one. I think he was way better early on and got looser for whatever reason, in the later ones. However, having said that, this is a really strong 70s example. Yeah, because they were often kind of looser at this stage in time.
To be honest, I don't remember where I got this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would assume it was an auction, but I'm not 100% sure anymore. But no, I like portraits, right? Yeah. And that first panel was fantastic, and I didn't actually see the beaver until you pointed it out.
Carlos, of course we're on. You know me. This is a short episode. What are you talking about, man? And we're actually about to finish 2 or 3 more pieces. Yeah, nice beaver for sure. I know you guys would appreciate the beaver. I wanted to show you guys some beaver because I know you all love beaver. That's it. Yes. Beaver in the bushes.
some shrubbery.
Oh my God, Marcus, just the box. Yes, the box. Thank you. Clever, beautiful. Axel, thank you. There's finally some mature collector here. We have Michael. Thank you, Maki Poo. That's appreciated. Damn fine strip, says Rick. Yes, absolutely. She's fine. It's fine. Great shrubbery. Yes. No, it's really a beautiful example, though. In all seriousness, it's fun, right? It's fun with the beaver, right? It gives a lot of laughs, but it really is a fantastic good girl art example, right? So,
and Stan Drake was known for that. Yeah.
He did beautiful women for sure. Yoshi, what's up, man? Been a while. What's up? That is a hairy beaver. I was just talking, Yoshi, about how immature everybody is. I'm adding you to that pile, okay? Oh, it's funny. Okay, Rich has worked with Neil Adams, and he's going to give us some info here. So Neil credited Stan Drake with him learning to draw beautiful women and inking women's hair in particular. Yeah.
No, I know when Bill Sienkiewicz came out, a lot of people said he was like a Neil Adams clone.
Yes.
And I see a lot of Stan Drake in Neil Adams' work, and I think,
yes.
And Sienkiewicz had a lot of Stan Drake in there, but people didn't know Stan Drake, so
right.
Some of the assumption was that he was copying Neil Adams, but perhaps it was more.
Or actually, only Neil Adams. Yeah.
Perhaps he was actually getting more of the influence, and they shared a common influence, and that's why they looked.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, it's a wonderful book. Leonard Starr wrote it. For those of you who don't know, Leonard Starr was the artist of Mary Perkins on Stage, and so he wrote a five albums in basically the type of albums you see in Europe, right? Hardcover, 48, 46 page album, something like that, right? Called Kelly Jones. That Stan Drake illustrated. Beautiful. I don't know if it's still in print, but you guys, all of you, if you really want a fun, beautiful book to look at and you like this type of art by Stan Drake, do an Amazon search for Kelly Jones, because it was collected several years ago into one hardcover album, and it's fantastic, really beautiful. So and if you buy the separate original albums that they released it in, the fifth one was never released in America, and so very hard to find. But for you collectors out there, if you're interested, I have a complete set, high grade complete set, which I bought before the book was collected into a collected edition. So if anybody's interested, I have all 5 of them, including the rare last volume. Which, by the way, takes place at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
So that's another interesting point of reference to put out there for you guys. So, so there you go. Nice collars. Nice everything. Neil instructed me to study Stan Drake for that reason, says Rich. Yeah. Jones. I bought mine in... Oh, you bought yours in Europe. Okay, there you go. All right. Very cool. All right, so we got our perfect timing. We got the Olympics happening. We're just finishing, obviously. So gold medal, bronze. We got the last 3. So I guess this would be like the bronze one. And no, that doesn't mean that I rank them in terms of their quality this way. I'm just, being funny. But this is the third to last piece, everybody. So check this one out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had to, because, listen, nobody's ever seen this, right? It's fantastic for something nobody's ever seen.
So the Green Hornet was a very popular pulp, and they were debating doing a Green Hornet comic strip, and so a bunch of artists started submitting their tryout strips, and this is Bill Eli,
either Eli or Ellie.
Who did a lot of work, I think, at DC and superhero stuff, but this was his tryout strip, and it's fantastic. That car in the back on that last panel, but so much of it's great on this thing, and again, something that's never been published. So unless you've seen the scan or the art in person, you would never have known it was there. And I've seen a few other tryouts for the Green Hornet by a couple other artists, including like Simon and Kirby and.
Yes. Yes. But this one I really love. I mean, especially mind-blowing to me because I never heard of Bill, Ellie, or Eli, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of him. I mean, who was it that, right here, the next comment. I want that card too, by the way, Jeff. Rich, really nice inking. Yeah, so slick. It's got this really nice, like the car, right? It's just fantastic. But really in the first panel, really, really beautiful stuff. The background trees in that last panel. Yeah, really, really amazing.
And this came from John's collection as well, too. So.
Oh, another one from John Biernot. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's right. That car. Yeah, really, really beautiful. And gosh, the background in panel 2, man, that building, just amazing.
And again, just an example of what you can do in three panels with storytelling.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, really nice storytelling.
Move the story along really quickly. Yeah.
But this one gets a bronze indeed. Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Marcus, that we've seen this one. It's true. Why would I have shown this? For what reason? Did I show this on one of my episodes for any reason? I feel like I'm getting deja vu now that you mentioned that. When did I show this? Why would I have shown this? What? It must have been one of those show and tells that had nothing to do with a collector's collection, and I wanted to show an example of something in particular, and I may have used this. It's possible. I don't know. Remind me, Marcus. You got a better memory for this stuff than I do. And
the strip was never made in the end.
Yeah, they never made. Yeah, they never ultimately had a Green Hornet strip. Yeah, exactly. That's right, Cobby. Awesome piece for sure. Awesome. Picture frame on the wall.
No, it was on John's wall, but not mine. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know where. Yeah, definitely in his calf. Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, thank you. Then my deja vu is just an erroneous thing there, Rick, I guess. I don't remember it on the show. Okay, thank you. I feel like I did want to show it to people, so I don't know. Like, that's why I got deja vu. Like I wanted to show people this for some reason specific. But okay, I'll take your word for it. If I didn't grab this as an example to show, yeah, that's fine. I looked at it a lot in Jeff's calf, and plus I've seen it obviously here in person in his house. So maybe that's why I got the image in my head, burned in so clearly, Yeah. So okay, but really fantastic. Love to show this. Again, your quotient of a ratio of quality, and like particularly for something that never saw the light of day, was never printed. Yeah. Like to see something of that quality, the artists never get printed.
They often put a lot of work into those tryout strips to kind of show what they can do. But also they hadn't developed their style at that time, what they're going to do as well.
True.
So if it actually had taken off, it would have been
True. Yeah.
Probably been pretty spectacular what he had done.
Yeah. Exactly. The Cato in the first panel looks Robbins-ish. I didn't catch that, but okay. We all see different things at times, right? Might have been a calf pick. Yeah, but I don't watch the show, so that's not where I would have seen it or put it on. By Snorik, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. But I just felt like I showed it to people, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just some weird deja vu thing. Thanks, Jeff, for sharing your collection. I learned so much. Great show, Rubén. Oh, are you leaving, Mark?
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, thanks for dropping in if you're leaving. But just so you know, there's only two pieces left. But if you got to go, you got to go. I understand. I appreciate it, man. So let's get to those last couple pieces. And the silver medal winner, I guess, is this, the second to last piece. Check it out.
Oh, yeah. So
I had to show this even though, because I figured it came with a nice story. Yeah. That's why I really wanted to. Okay. So listen to this. Just a quick anecdote that comes with this. Everybody, this is not an original, but let's let Jeff tell us the story of why he had it.
So first of all, for better or worse, it means a lot to me. I grew up with this strip. It's a Canadian strip as well. Yeah. I was about the same age as Michael when this strip. I might have been like a year or two older, but I could relate to him. I had a younger sister. I had a dog. The dog died probably around the same time Farley died. So I had a lot of connection with this strip. And this is an important part of the storyline for this strip. This is when Michael's friend starts to come out. It's the first gay character ever come out.
First gay character, yeah, okay.
Yeah, to come out. And the way Lynn Johnson handled this was brilliant. It went over a couple weeks. She got a lot of trouble from newspapers.
I would say readers first, complaining, right?
Yeah, and then newspapers, and a lot of newspapers dropped the strip because of this.
Wow.
And it became such a, but she did it so well. And so this piece showed up on a large auction site. And I couldn't believe it was.
You don't want to name them?
I couldn't believe that piece was there, and it's sitting there, and I knew exactly what this was when I saw it.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what it was. They just
Right.
said an example of for better or worse, and so I was kind of hoping it would slip under the radar. I think it relatively did. I got it for quite a bit more than a normal one would have gone for, but a lot less than I think it probably would have gone for, given how important this strip is. And I was so excited to get this thing, and when it showed up, I was so disappointed because it's a print. It's a signed print.
And how did you know it was a signed print, not the original?
Yeah, as soon as you're looking at it, if you look at it, the blacks are flat.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how we all know to look for.
So you're looking for variation.
Uniform, right? You want variation in the inks, right, from the brush strokes.
Yeah.
And if you see it looks so even and equally as dark everywhere, it's typically a print.
There's a couple areas of zipatone on there. You can see they're clearly printed on as opposed to something that's glued on.
It's glued on, right?
And also the date, where they have the copyright.
The copyright.
That's usually something that's pasted on. It's not part of the art.
Right.
And this is there. All three things were there.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed. I sent it back to the auction house. They gave me my money back.
Right. That's a good thing, at least,
And so they listed it properly the second time.
Oh, so they relisted it again
just
after, right? And said it was a print.
Yeah.
Right.
And I bought it again. But
you won it again.
I won, but for considerably less than. But then it sold for the first time. And so the background I understand on this print is that I think the Comic Art Museum in San Francisco had done an exhibition of this particular sequence at the time, and they had a couple of signed copies of this, like the print, and that's probably where this print came from.
Okay.
The fact the auction house missed that it was a print was a little bit upsetting, but in the end it worked out.
At least it worked out fairly for everybody, and and you ended up with it, even though it's a print, you still got it back, right? So that's kind of fun, at least until if and when the original would ever appear, right, and give you a shot at it. At least you have a print. It's kind of cool.
It should be in a museum. I've always said that piece is culturally so important.
You should have just scanned it and made yourself the print. Yeah, but then it's a print of a print. Why would you want that? Oh, look at that. See, people here, they don't want secrets, man. Yeah. Mickey's asking you a question. What do you want to answer to that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Well, that was you. It's funny, like you want to keep it a secret, but then as soon as he asks, I'm not going to think twice. Yeah.
It'd be easy to find if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It'd be super easy. But...
Of course, yeah. You do a search and then, exactly. That's funny. Good on putting his feet to the fire, Mickey. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's funny.
I can say it though.
Yeah. Blue line it. Look at you. Print Inception. All right. So, everybody, thank you for sticking around this long. Actually, probably my shortest episode in quite a long time. Because all of my episodes lately have been, even the ones that don't hit 4 hours, go like 3:45, whatever. And we're on our last piece. So, just a couple more minutes here and we'll let you guys go. Bootlegging is a habit, I guess. Where is bootlegging today? Where is Dan? Dan didn't show up today. I guess he's one of the people who thought, strip art? What the hell is strip art? Fuck that shit. It's like, I'm not watching that. That's okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate the lot of you that did show up. We had quite a good viewing. It's dropped now, of course, as we've gone to the third hour. But we had quite a lot of people early on. More than the average episode, believe it or not. So I hope that means that there's curiosity seekers and people just interested in wanting to know more about strips and, see what the big deal is, if you will. The Mount Rushmore of movies. What is?
Well, you asked me what my favorite movie is.
Oh.
It'll probably be Blade Runner still, but there's a handful. But Shining's in that top 5 as
well. Blade Runner. Yeah. In spite of that actor. What's his name again, the actor? That guy there with
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer, that's it. That guy was on. Now that's an actor. Rutger Hauer. He should have been Han Solo. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. So funny. Paul, wow, look how late you came in. Cool show, great to learn. Oh, you've been here already, just listening, I guess. Great to learn a bit of an adjacent area. Hey, man, that's awesome. And that's why we wanted to do the show, right?
Yeah,
I mean, in part, certainly in part, because to get more widespread showing and love out there for comic strip art, because not that many people collect it compared to mainstream comic book or there. Look, oh my God! As soon as we talk about him, like the Wizard of Oz, he appears. Bootlegging is a habit. I asked if Jeff, you were the one who asked him if any. Oh, okay. If you'd gone, I was going to any shows this year. Okay, I did. And you know that I didn't notice who it was that had asked after I passed your question. But thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. You got your answer, right? So there you go. Educational episode, amazing stuff. One piece left. Don't leave. One piece left. One piece left, Rick. Or people just like Jeff. I also dropped the. Oh, you were the one with the Beastie Boys reference, right? Yeah. That I think you. Yeah. No, okay. Sorry about that. Sorry. No, but I caught it. Unless there was one that I completely missed. I caught the Beastie Boys reference. I did. I even read it out. If that's the one you were talking about, you're gonna have to go back and check. Blade Runner is a must-watch when Rubén's in town.
I thought about that last night.
To force me to watch it. Well, you know what? If I ever watch it'll have to be with you. Hey guys, maybe that's what we're gonna be doing. It's like 11 o'clock at night over here. But if we still feel awake, because we've been watching movies the last couple of days, who knows? Maybe I'll let him convince me to try Blade Runner tonight. Wow. Because if I ever watch it, I probably should watch it with you, because you're like the biggest fan that I've ever known, right? So yeah, it should be you who forces me into it, right? Yeah. But we'll see. No promises, everybody.
Yeah, Ford Marathon, exactly.
Yeah, just such a class act and always generous with his time. Shaggy.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Amazing collection. Yeah, that's for sure. A Ford. Hey, listen, you'd be lucky if I watched one Ford movie. All right, forget the marathon. Look at Rick. Watch Blade Runner. Do it. Look at everybody jumping on me now. Do it. You guys have to understand. You're forgetting that I don't like their genre, which means if you force me to watch it, you guys have to understand there's a good chance I'm gonna hate it. You guys have to understand that.
What's the genre you don't like, though?
Which one? A genre that I don't like? I mean, I like comedies.
What don't you like? You don't like sci-fi?
Science fiction.
It's more of a noir detective than it's the background. But but anyways,
I don't know about that, but it does take some place in the future, right?
It does.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. No sleep till Canada. Love it. All right, guys, let us show the last piece. Which version of Blade is your favorite? What are you asking that for? Are you like a huge Blade fan?
No, we meant Blade Runner.
Oh, Blade Runner. Oh, that's true. You love
director's cut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without the voiceover.
Okay. Without the voiceover.
And the Unicorn Dream, which is super important. But yeah.
Okay. I don't know what the hell that is, but okay.
I'll explain to you after.
Okay, we're all getting Rubén Blade Runner Blu-rays for Christmas. I'm gonna drown in a pile of Blade Runner Blu-rays. Actually, you shouldn't get me the Blu-ray because I only have a DVD.
And it'd be Betamax.
Betamax, right? Yeah. No. I only have DVD, regular DVD. So yeah, but at least you'll always have it having seen it. Hate it having seen it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rubén has the chicken and waffle story maybe this weekend.
Oh yeah, chicken. How many of you have heard of? You probably all heard of it, chicken and waffles, or is it just called chicken waffles or whatever? I've known about it for some time, and I always thought I don't know. I can't see the combination of some sweet waffle with a fried chicken possibly tasting good, right? So we were together yesterday with Bob Cotman, who appeared earlier. And we went to eat, and I was like, okay, what the hell? Give it a try. Give the chicken waffles a try. Guys, oh my God. You guys got to tell me if you like it. Does anybody like it? Because I expected it to be awful, but it was horrendous. It was literally way worse than I had even imagined. Holy shit, it was terrible. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. But yeah, let's finish this up, everyone. I prefer sticky fingers, Blade. Let go of your sci-fi prejudice and enjoy the ride. And yeah, next, get to the last piece. All right, let's close this out, everyone. Check out the last piece for the evening, and it is this one.
Oh, yeah.
You sound disappointed.
No. I was expecting you said earlier.
Okay.
So one of the things you picked all kind of the illustrative adventure long strips as opposed
a lot.
To
Because
that's your preference.
Yeah, that's my
preference. You prefer that kind of artist as well too.
Yeah. I admit.
Yeah.
I admit.
But I like those, and they're certainly the most accessible as well. Yeah. Frank Frazetta. I love Frank Frazetta's work in comic books.
Right.
I love his ink work.
His ink, yeah, you and me have always said, everybody, I don't know, you guys can discuss it, but Jeff and I both have always agreed we much prefer his pen and ink work, his brush work, to his paintings. Yeah, his fantasy paintings. Yeah, we're not like the biggest fans of that stuff.
Yeah, I wish no one had ever shown him a paintbrush.
Right.
Because we would have had so many better, so much more work from him. But yeah.
Yeah.
But no, just gorgeous. His women are gorgeous. The lighting, he just gets everything right. And
yeah. No, I love it, and I love the fact that even though it was supposed to be like a racing car strip or whatever, most of it doesn't really take place with him in a car constantly racing.
It's a crime drama.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And he did work on a couple other strips before. He did a Thunder strip by himself, but he assisted Al Cap on the Labner.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and apparently Cap was a terrible boss from all accounts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
To Frazetta or in general?
To everyone, but to Frazetta, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's an interesting thing, and of course,
by Al Cap.
His women are easily recognized. Of course, CJ. Yeah, absolutely. Look what Rick said. Of course, was this ghosted by Cap? Yeah, he's gonna do it the other way around. Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, for sure, a gorgeous strip, and of course, everybody knows now. You guys all know Jeff is into the ladies, so you know his main reason for getting this particular example. And it's it's stunning, really. Yeah. I mean, what do you want? By the way, I love the fact that you took the character Raven, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The brunette, anyways. My point being a brunette, because most people always go for the blonde or whatever, but especially when you're doing pen and ink work, I think it's much cooler to do brunettes. You get a lot more of the ink work and the hair and stuff. Super beautiful stuff.
One of the things Frazetta did too is he watered his inks, so you get different.
Yeah, the gradation.
He was one of the ones that did the most of that, and probably the earliest of that kind of stuff, and that was neat. And I got this strip from Albert. I actually had a different Ace McCoy before.
Okay.
And Albert always wanted it. And then Albert got this one.
Oh, yeah.
And then he offered me a straight trade on this thing because we're friends. And this was a no-brainer for me. I was like, okay, done. I'm very thankful to Albert for this. It was Albert was very happy with what he got. And
good trade.
And this thing's on my wall and in the same frame the other one was on.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. Yeah. And this is dated. It's a birthday strip for Kavi, but of course over 30 years earlier. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So love it. Great stuff, Jeff. And pics, Rubén. Thank you, Kavi. Appreciate the support, man. That's awesome of you.
Thanks you guys for looking and
man. Let me
know with this.
Let me come back to you guys. Thank you so much to everybody. Those of you watching on Rewind, of course, appreciate you guys as well. But as always, as I always say, guys, those of you, my regulars and semi-regulars that come in every week in, week out, and support everything that we do here. And like you said, Marcus, the other day, the other week, it's like teamwork. We all come here together to make the shows what they are. It's a nice, fun hangout for everybody. Have fun watching. Looking at art, talking about art, but also talking about everything else under the sun, including colonoscopies, believe it or not, Jeff. If you tune in, you would see we've talked about everything imaginable, including colonoscopies. So the shows wouldn't be as fun of a hangout, of course, if it wasn't for you guys especially. And, of course, my awesome guests like you and the rest of my friends who have come on over the last couple of years. But, man, I appreciate all of you. And for as far as next week, guys, just so you know, I'm really behind. I've been working at getting my next guest for next Sunday. And I just had a really rough this past week. A lot of people that I've been reached out to have not replied to me. One said no, I got a no. And then a couple are thinking about it. So that delays things. And so I don't have anything planned this coming week, although I may have a new friend I just made, and I mentioned him. He was one of my new subs, Dave Kwok, who subbed a few days ago. He's already agreed to do a show and tell, and he said he may be able to do it this coming Sunday, so he may bail me out. If I can't find anybody, we'll do another hangout show, and you guys know me. I'll probably recruit Hart to come into the studio with me.
or Jason Ladwig, whoever wants to. If I take somebody new, if anybody wants to come in, but I never skip a show. So if we just have to come in and shoot the shit about like Blade Runner and Harrison Ford, whatever we got to talk about, we'll hang out and talk. So yeah, but we'll find out sometime this week what we'll do. Whenever I schedule the episode, you guys will, I guess, at that point find out what we're gonna do next week. So, but yes, let me just finish off here, you guys, because I appreciate you all. Cheers to you. Thanks, Jeff. The Jeff Army. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Have a good week, all of you. Good work week. Good night to you, Maki Poopo. You stuck around for the whole show. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you again, Mickey. Thank you, man. A great friend, great supporter. So thank you. Appreciate that. Yoshi's still here. Yeah. Awesome, man. That's awesome. I love that you were interested in this stuff. So that's cool. We need a Blade Runner reaction review. It's not coming from me, Marcus. You never know. Who knows? We've done a movie show, so anything's possible. We did kind of 2 movie shows so far. Great show, Jeff, Rubén, and the chat. Thank you, CJ. Appreciate you. Yeah. Oh, and we just talk about Blade Runner. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'll be at Terrific. Oh, yeah. Anybody going to Terrificon next week? Yeah, be sure and say hi to Rich. You guys know him. He's been on the show already with me. So check him out. Have a good time, Rich, by the way. And you're going to try to be back in time for the show. Yeah, listen, don't have an accident on my account, okay? So just take your time, man. Blade Runner fan fiction, because you'll be an expert by then. Yeah, right. Good night, Rick. Thank you. Appreciate you always. Thanks, man. Great Blade Runner connection with Kubrick's The Shining at the end of the movie. And you're wearing the shirt.
Yeah, but there's actually a connection with the scene.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
They use stock footage from The Shining and Blade Runner.
Okay. Oh. Okay. You'll have to tell me all about that. Okay. JC in the house, of course, and thank you very much as always. Appreciate your support, man. Thank you. Great. I know you meant great, not Greta. And there's your full your full comment. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And last but not least, the other Canadian, by the way, Shaggy Wong. Great show, gentlemen. Maybe Fan Expo Canada this year. Jeff or Rubén at the end of the month. Not for me. I've been we've both been together in the last 2 years. Hugh will.
I'll be there on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday. So if you see him and you're there, say hi to him.
Yeah.
But I won't be. Yeah, but cool. If you run into him, say hi. And that's it. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. And like I said, since I don't know what I'm doing next week, I can't leave you with next week's thumbnail as I always do. So we will leave it here. Thanks again. I hope you enjoyed what we did tonight. And thank you again, my friend.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I appreciate it, man. So thanks, guys. Have a great week, and we will see you next Sunday. Oh, I'm so sorry because I don't want to screw Nick. Wow, I did forget, and I really am so sorry, Nick. But oops, let me show. I mean, most of you already know, of course. But don't forget to watch Nick on Friday, everybody. And that is here for those of you who may not know. YouTube.com/theexp, and that is I'll show you Nikki B, who is here. There we go. Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Every Friday, this Friday and every Friday. So don't forget. And it's a sales show / talk show. So you'll get talking and chatting, but also he offers up art every week for sales that you can claim. So that's always a lot of fun. So please try to check that out if you have the time. And one last comment from one of you. Oh, there we go. And Mr. Kavi, peace. Appreciate it. And Marcus gets the last word. Rubén will be at Fan Expo Cannabis. I do not smoke up. I don't touch this stuff. We'll leave you with the last one, Kavi. Thank you. Peace out, everybody. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night.